Hello,
We made it. Hey,
Larry.
Aliza,
Oh,
this is so awesome. What a nice place you
it's
picked out here.
thank you. Yeah, I was looking around for some virtual cocktail lounges for us to hang out in, and this is my favorite one.
Yeah, well,
So
listen, and look who all's here joining us. This is awesome. I
yes.
hope everybody's got your favorite. My only downside so far is my Samaritan Sunset won't kick in, but it's
Oh
okay.
yeah,
It tastes great
mine
anyway.
mine kicked in early, so there you go. And I'm representing the mocktail, the synthahol drinkers too. So this is just juice, basically.
Oh, so it's a mocktail time.
Yes, it is. Aha!
Okay, well, we've got
Yay!
it's a party, guys. We're so glad everybody's
Yes.
joining us. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you, Aliza, for inviting me to come co-host this. Because
Yes.
what are
Thank
we
you for
doing here?
joining
We're
us.
kicking off.
The Starfleet virtual cocktail party celebrating the
Mhm.
improvised generation, launching our on-screen show.
Yes,
Woo!
Improvised Generation is
Yay!
awesome here in LA. I'm so glad to be a booster and part of helping it spread far and wide. And of course, pandemic time, everything's going
Mhm.
virtual, and you guys are so ingenious for doing that,
Thank
and
you.
for having your launch event like this. So,
Thank you.
uh,
Yeah, we thought we'd get together all of our Trekkie friends and have a party because what else can you do during these pandemic times? But
right, let's
I
have
guess,
some
we're
cheer in
trying to make the most
2020
of it. Yeah.
here for a little bit.
And yeah, before
So,
we
so
launch in, we have some announcements to make.
mhm.
I'm Aliza Pearl.
Oh, that's who you
And
are. Yes.
yep. And who are you?
I'm Larry Nemecek, Dr.
All
Trek
right.
to everybody. I guess we
There you
should clear
go.
that up. I was so busy
Yeah.
drinking, I didn't want to, yeah,
I
spoil it.
know we forgot to say hi. This is who we are. We have a very exciting lineup of people. I mean, we have a long list of names. I won't read them all, but we are excited to welcome them all. We want to say, like, if you're watching us, then you already know that twitch.tv/outpost13 is where you're watching us.
Mhm.
If you want to join the chat and make this, like, this party more interactive, then you can do so by logging into twitch.tv. It's free to create an account, and you can just join the chat and just be nice. Be nice to people, okay? You'll
Yes,
get kicked
yes.
out if you're not nice, so be
But we,
nice.
you can leave questions when we get into our conversation. We're
Hmm.
not doing panels. I keep the thing I love about this is we love the virtual panels taking the place of all our lost conventions this
Hmm.
summer, but there is a little bit of virtual panel fatigue setting in, and we're doing everything
Right.
we can. Some folks here plan this so that it's more in chit chat mode, and we're doing that. But you can still
Yeah.
leave if you're in the chat at the Twitch chat, get an account, and you can leave questions there, and we'll have mods that are pulling questions out
Yeah, we'll try to
for
get.
us.
We have very brief segments
Yeah.
because, like Larry said, it's not panels. It's more like a cocktail atmosphere. But we'll try to get to your questions if we can fit them in with our guests, not panelists, guests, and our social media. If you'd like to share this with your friends and your timelines, use the hashtag Starfleet Cocktail Party, and then you can add improvised Gen for our show, Larry Nemechek on Twitter, Larry Nemechek's Trekland on Instagram, and I'm Aliza Pearl if you'd like to add me.
Please
But
do.
yeah, I think we should get started now,
So
right?
we've got people coming in and out. We're going to wander our virtual party room here and see who we
Mm-hmm.
can find. But we've got a lot of
Yeah.
guests coming. We'll take a break at the top of the hour, but
Yes, that's right.
we do have a plan.
And Larry, I think I see some people we should go over
Okay.
there to go see some scientists.
Oh,
All right. Hey,
hey.
look,
Hello.
we found this corner where the scientists have taken over the party.
Well, they'll
Uh,
do that if you let them.
oh
That's the
We're
best
party
kind.
animals.
my goodness, it's so good to see you, Dr. Erin Macdonald. Tell me, I'm sorry if I'm saying your doctor. Dr. Abby Fraeman? Are you a doctor too?
I
Doctor
Yes, she
Mohamed?
is.
Professor,
Yes.
doctor?
From JPL. Yes. And then we've got Mohamed Noor here, who's from Duke University. And Mohamed was very kind enough to share his book with me ages ago.
Yes.
Yay. There we go.
Oh, that's
Get it in.
awesome.
Yay. It's autographed too, but that'll just totally blow my galactic screen. But we've got our scientist corner here, two of them who sometimes earn a paycheck from Star Trek, actually, on top of their science. And Dr. Abby, I know, who was, I think it's safe to say, was probably inspired by Star Trek
Yeah.
for your corner of the of
For
the
sure.
science world, as were Erin and Mohamed too. I know.
Yeah, I have a question. I'm going to start with Erin. Erin, is there like a wacky, wild scientific concept that you haven't seen in Star Trek yet, but you would like to see?
Oh, that's a great question. Hi, Aliza. Hi, Larry. It's nice to be here. I've got my Romulan ale with my Tula berries in it.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah, that's an awesome question. It's so funny because I did my doctorate in gravitational waves. So I've always been a big sucker for general relativity and gravitational waves, but they have cropped up occasionally. We saw gravitational waves in TNG, and then just recently in Lower Decks, they mentioned having it difficulty programming the gravitational waves, which actually spoke very near and dear to my heart. But yeah, I think, there's so much that we can play with. And one of the things I love is because Star Trek has existed for so long that you can almost date the shows by the type of things that they're discovering and the types of anomalies that they're finding. And so I'd be really excited to see things like, dealing with more types of multiverse theories, more types of getting into black holes, more types of like dark energy, for example, just stuff that's still on the cusp that we haven't quite broken into yet. And I think we're not far off from that. So I would love to, but now, I have to kind of keep my mouth shut because I can maybe have some influence.
I was going to say, this is not the time to keep your mouth shut. This is the time to speak up, girl. Come on.
Right. So yeah, I think it's no amount of, I can't convey how much stress now it's starting to keep me up at night. The idea that, I'm actually contributing something to Star Trek science canon. The weight, Larry.
Oh my goodness. That actually leads me into a question for Professor Noor. If there is any, this might be a political question, but is there any past Star Trek science that you would like to retcon?
Oh, that's a great question. Oh, yeah. Thanks, by the way, for having me. Great to see you guys.
Yeah,
great to see you.
I'd like
and
to
be honest. Now, be honest.
I will.
Like, okay.
I'd like to retcon a little bit the Next Generation episode, The Chase, and add a lot more nuance to the way that was presented. Because the way it was presented, like the science there, it was a heroic effort. It was a good attempt, but it doesn't actually work the way it's laid out. I would love to go in at some point in time and like make it so it does work. There's a few just little tweaks you could add to the explanation.
And we should say that the chase was Professor Galen, and it's supposedly the great key to why everybody in Star Trek is a bipedal humanoid with bumps.
Exactly.
Right. They're trying to explain our preservers. The DNA is seeded around the galaxy, and we see Romulans, Klingons, Cardassians, and humans and Vulcans all figuring this major event out, and it all happens on a little soundstage.
Yeah, excellent summary. I mean, the biggest problem is just you can't have that much predeterminism, right? That over 4 billion years you have exactly the same outcome. I mean, there's no way you could do that. But there's little tweaks you could have where basically something along the lines of either a more recent, contact or more recent manipulation or something like that. That would actually make it work fine. So I would love to do that, but. Cool. I don't think they're going to revisit that episode, though. Realistically.
Well, never say never.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. And there have been episodes or like concepts that have been revisited in Star Trek throughout the different series. So maybe there'll be a different version of that.
Definitely, if they ever asked me on that one, I would be happy to contribute with that.
All right.
I hear this idea they're going to be cranking out series right and left here as the years go by, and they're going to be needing filler science, not filler science, but going to some of those.
Good science.
If we can go back to the Telosians, we're going to go back to everything.
Oh, yeah.
So,
good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. And Dr. Abby, we were wondering, can you tell us about what about Star Trek inspired you to get into science? And also tell us what you're doing right now. Because I was going to say,
can we say we need to let everybody know, Dr. Abby, correct me if I'm wrong, you're driving the rover or one of the rovers on Mars?
Yeah. So hi, Larry and Aliza. It's nice to meet you.
Great to meet you. Yeah.
And, So my job is called a planetary scientist. I work at NASA's JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and big chunk of my job is actually driving the Curiosity Mars rover on the surface of Mars. So I'm a geologist by training. And I help look at the images of Mars that we're sending back and thinking about what we're seeing in the rocks and their chemistry and their textures and what measurements we want to make with the rover and where we want to drive the rover, and how that all helps us in our understanding about the planet. What was its history like? Was it once a habitable place? And so we're really exploring Mars, not quite with a starship, but I think
right,
pretty close to what we have today. But yeah, myself and many of my coworkers were definitely inspired by Star Trek growing up. I will say I'm of the Voyager generation. That's my show. I love Captain lady scientist with this amazing command of his starship. And so I watched a lot of that. And the thought that we could actually be exploring strange new worlds for real. And we're literally sending our rover where no human has ever gone before. And I think they're so cool that we can do that today for real.
And we have active sampling, right? It's actively taking samples, and we have instrumentation that can do sensing and then relay the data back. So we're not worried about taking the moon rocks and having to get them back home. The whole idea of the rover is to keep doing sampling and sensoring all over, tricordering, and sending it back and giving you active data to have as the exploration continues, right?
Yeah, certainly. Well, for now, we have things. We've got a drill on the rover that can collect rock powder and put it into our onboard science analytical laboratories. We've got a laser on the rover that we can use to zap rocks up to 4 meters away. But we'd love to grab a chunk of Mars and bring it back to Earth. Throw the full weight of our analytical capabilities into analyzing those. So the next rover that we just launched a couple weeks ago, the Perseverance Mars rover, is actually going to be the first step in that sequence of collecting very carefully chosen samples of Mars rocks to bring them back to Earth. And don't worry, we're being very, very careful to make sure that we're going to protect ourselves if there's anything in those rocks that might harm us. We're going to have many, many layers of containment. So we're going to be very safe about it.
Great. I actually have a question for all of you from our chat.
Oh, it's
Glenn Vegas. Glenn Vegas says, I would like to know if anyone on the screen met their future significant others through Star Trek.
Oh,
I did. I mean, my wife and I used to watch Next Generation together back when it was coming out, and that definitely helped with the dating phase.
No, wait. How did you actually meet me? Was that at a Trek event?
No, we didn't meet me. Like, we were in the same graduate program, but then we'd sometimes do things together, but frequently I'd say like, hey, do you want to watch Star Trek? And the answer was always yes. And it was like, this is the right person.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and my current partner, we met at work, but there was another sci-fi franchise that begins with star and ends with a different word that
how dare
right, he had referenced on one of his mugs, and I have many tattoos of many different franchises, and so that was how we started the conversation. But definitely Star Trek played a big role in that, and having I think some of the people have probably seen him, met him alongside me at conventions and stuff. He loves going to these things and dressing up, and it's a nice partnership.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's lovely.
Abby, do you guys have doodads at your desks, like action figures? And are you allowed to?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I was just,
There are people. Unfortunately, I'm not at work. I haven't been able to be there for a while, but there are. Right. There's lots of Star Trek memorabilia around. I'll leave that. But yes, Star Trek and the other Star franchise we won't talk about.
It's okay, guys. We're all one big happy fleet.
I love how it's become like the forbidden name.
It's not like Macbeth. Oh, I almost said it.
Love it.
Well, let's see. We've got another question in the chat here from Lieutenant Bodai Cooper. Gravitational waves and the idea of warp speed. How related are they?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to take that one.
I was going to say,
That's all yours.
I would add in how much of our ideas, because the theories around gravity are changing, right? Evolving. And we've got a 50-year franchise that's going to go on a little longer. So
yeah.
How does all that
certainly, I think most people learn about gravity. I'll make this as brief as possible. Most of the people learn about gravity, the idea of Newton, right? Apple falling on the head. It's a force, falls down as far as the distance between them. But Einstein was the one that actually started started solving, like there was a lot of stuff that Newton's gravity didn't work when we started observing space. And so he realized that actually our idea of this fabric of space-time, you put a bowling ball on a trampoline and that causes, you know, this dip. And then that whole idea of space-time is really related to warp drive, because warp drive is saying that nothing on the surface of space-time can go faster than the speed of light, but warp drive works by building that trampoline around your ship and then propelling your ship faster than the speed of light. So with gravitational waves, you know, this was a thing that Einstein predicted, where he said, when things change in space, when stars explode, when things crash into each other like black holes, it sends out these ripples in space-time. Like that trampoline is just going to ripple. And it's incredibly hard to detect. But in 2015, we made the first detection ever of gravitational waves, and it was literally detecting the motion of space-time itself. And so like anything, you know, we theorize about it. We see the indirect effects. We see light get curved around these gravitational wells, and then we detected space-time itself. So the next step is to learn to play with it, and that's how we get warp drive.
Ooh, well, I hope that we learn how to do that soon.
Me too.
Evil scientists. Hey, Abby, I want to ask you, Dr. Abby, I should say, what's back as you're driving? It's what opportunity is yours?
Curiosity.
Curiosity. Sorry. What's been the biggest, like, has there been a shock? Has there been a big revelation that's come out of its travels?
So many. Mars continually surprises us with opportunity and spirit and curiosity, and all the rovers we've had. You know, we're continually finding new, unexpected things. You know, the biggest finding from Curiosity is that the rocks in the area we landed in was once an ancient lake that was probably very nice kind of water that could have supported life. And we've also found organic molecules, the building blocks of life were present in this lake. So that was a very fun, unexpected, exciting discovery.
Any humanoid DNA seed cones that the preservers might have thrown? Oh, I guess not. Okay.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Oh
I
my
like that
goodness.
answer. Yeah.
This is so much fun to talk to you all, and thank you for joining us and blessing us with your science knowledge and your trekkiness.
Thank you for having us.
I think I see some other folks over there, but let's also put a splash on the screen.
I was
so
going to
people
say,
can
as we
find these
wander,
three.
we don't want to let anybody not carry on the conversation with any of our folks here. So
Yes.
yes, take just a second, and in
We'll see you guys later.
fact, I'm going to.
Oh, well, look who I found over here. I found 4 of my fellow castmates of the Improvised generation. Oh my goodness. Really quick, let's go around. Everyone just say your name and what position and your character's name on the ship.
All right, I'll go first. I'm Amanda Troop. I play Lieutenant Commander Ellaria Vina, and I am the Chief of Operations.
I play Ensign Hermia Crispin, and my real name's Lissette Jean-Marie.
I play Chula. My name is Rob Ullett, and I'm the ship's counselor.
My name is Paul Hungerford. I play Jack Deadman, Commander Jack Deadman, first officer. and that's what I get to play and do.
Yay! And I'm Aliza Pearl, and I play Captain Georgia Thompson, the captain, which is why I'm in my ready room right now. Yay! Oh my goodness. Well, you're all people that I know and love so well. But for the folks who are here at this party who don't know you or the show as well, tell me what has it been like? What does it mean for you that we have taken our stage show that we've done for 5 years and now we're taking it digital? What does that mean for you? How has that transition been?
I mean, I'm just so excited about it because we took a TV show and we put it on stage, and now we're taking a stage show of a TV show and we're putting it on computers. And I feel like that's just like a really awesome evolution of our show. But it also, I think it gives us the opportunity to, I think it's going to be even more Trekky somehow. I'm excited to use technology in our show. Yeah, the transition has been just joyous to connect with everyone, especially during these times, and have some more Trekky fun in our lives.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, Paul, tell me. Yeah, I was going to ask you, Paul. I know you've been doing a lot of back end stuff on Twitter through Outpost 13. What has that been like to basically on Twitch, sorry. What has that been for you to like turn Twitch into this like virtual theater for our show?
Well, it has its challenges, but it's really rewarding because much like this cast, whether I'm working with any one of the people in this cast, there's so many talented people who pitch in and help out and bring their expertise to get it done. Whether it's Arlo Sanders, who is like this technical genius, who, hey, I got an idea, let's try this. And he just, it works. Or someone like Matt Pittner, who is a producer who will just work to try to get things up and running. Cody Bushi, who helps us with our bots, our digital bots, or Luke Manasic, who helps us out with social media. So many people come in. We've got a huge cast of crew, I should say, that helps make it possible. So it's challenging at times because you have to work, because of the social distancing and because of not being able to be next to each other, which is tricky. At the same time, you have to solve problems, just like this is corny, just like the crew of the Starship Enterprise. But you get to do that. It's really fun and rewarding because then I get to hang out with all these amazing, talented, gifted people and hang out with them, and do comedy with them, and connect with other people on the channel. And it's really important to us that we have a lot of different voices on this channel. And so that's really fun to be a part of as well, is to feel inspired to do the work because it matters that you're trying to make change or offer tools to people so their voices can be heard.
Well said. Yeah. Lissette, so you are one of our newest full regular cast members. You've guessed it with us a bunch of times on stage, and now you're bringing your character to a full crew position. Can you tell me like what that has been like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a long time improv theater person, which is where many of us trained and took classes, and I got to see you guys just start the improvised generation from the ground and like build the storytelling, build like techniques to tell ongoing story on stage. And I was always blown away by it. And it was just fun nerdiness, like to whenever you guys did another run, I'd be like, oh great, I'm gonna be at the theater almost every week now because I love playing their shows. And then last year, like I guested with you a couple times, and I introduced Hermia Crispin, who has an interesting path connections with perhaps others on the crew of Inley. And yeah, it's been lovely to get to play with my friends more. And we were about to do a run right before everything got shut down. So I'm really happy that we're doing a version of the show on screen, because more than anything, I just like the excuse to get together with everyone and play. I kind of need it to survive at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been so long since we've been able to gather. So this is a way for us to gather for sure. I want to hear like from each of you a little bit about your characters. And like maybe tell me what your personality is like and what's a major thing that defines your character at this point. And this is all through improv, folks, by the way, people watching. These characters were developed through improv.
Developed, but we like came up with our own, like now we have canon because we're 5 seasons in.
Yeah.
Plus the mini.
5+ exactly. We've had mini seasons in between.
Yeah. I keep going first, but I'll just go first again. So Ellaria Vina, she's Betazoid, and she was captured by the Borg and almost fully transformed into Borg, and then was rescued by Paul Hungerford's character, Jack Deadman. She and Jack were previously engaged, and unfortunately, the Borg implant, along with other things, made that relationship not continue to move forward. And Ellaria wants to be a captain, but Starfleet there's a little bit of Borg still in her head, and Starfleet just won't promote her to the rank necessary. So she's very different from me in certain ways. She's much more, I don't know how to put it, maybe more abrasive. But the biggest thing is that the Borg implant magnifies her telepathic abilities. And because of that, it causes people tremendous pain if she uses it, but it can also be used to communicate over vast distances. And so it sometimes has been a bit of a deus ex machina device on our show, and other times it's just gotten everybody tummy aches and headaches.
Yeah, we definitely had a few shows where Ellaria's, you're definitely like you're a powerful character, let's put it that way. And it's always been really interesting to let us like unleash that power in an episode and have to deal with that. Cool. Rob, tell us about Chulak, our beloved Vulcan counselor.
Well, Chulak is, he's a bit of a atypical Vulcan, I suppose. He doesn't quite follow all of the proper teachings of Vulcan. He sort of shed his desire for logic and the pursuit of understanding emotion, especially in the way that it affects his crew members. He's always trying to learn more and feel these emotions for himself and delve into them. His favorite thing, I think, to do on board the ship is planning surprise birthday parties for his crewmates. He's had a few of those in the past. He's a very interesting character, very quirky. I certainly have enjoyed living in his shoes for these past 5 seasons, and I look forward to exploring more and delving further into him. He recently got married to Nurse Culverson, whom I hope you'll all be meeting a little bit later today. It's just been a fantastic journey with him. I'm so curious to see what else will come out. I mean, because we don't plan any of these things, so many characteristics just sort of like pop up out of nowhere, or something that happens on the show just completely changes the character's path. You're going this way, and all of a sudden his life is completely different because of some thing that comes out from the past, right? So it's pretty awesome. I'm thrilled to play it. I'm thrilled to be a part of the show. It's great that we've been going on for so long.
Yay, we're a family.
Yeah, it's great.
Lissette and Paul, can you tell me really quickly just a little bit about your characters?
I am Ensign Hermia Crispin. I just graduated from Starfleet Academy. In previous seasons, I had been an acting ensign, so I was technically still in school, but I guess interning with the McGinley every now and then. And I think she just wants to prove herself a lot and kind of show that she might be, she's got new ideas and she's tough. So yeah, we'll see what else.
Nice.
Jack Deadman, his nickname is Lucky Jack. He is a shoot first, ask questions later character. I originally wanted a character who was kind of, his hubris was his own heroics, like that it would always get him into more trouble, which to me in improv is fun. The more your character gets into trouble, the more fun you start to have on stage. So I wanted him to be this kind of like, I also wanted him to be a bit of a romantic, like he wants to fall in love, he wants to meet the right person, but there and again would be his flaw that, you know, he wants it so badly, he always jumps in and it always goes awful. I loved when we discovered, we already knew we had some sort of connection between Ellaria and Jack early on, but we didn't know what that was. We discovered a lot of it on stage, which was really fun because you get to play off of what's showing up. And everybody in this cast is an outstanding, amazing, talented, gifted improviser. And one of the fun things about working with Amanda specifically is I've worked with her for so long between classes and other shows that it's effortless. I don't have to worry. I can just close my eyes and jump off the cliff because I know everything's going to be fine because either the ground will be soft or she'll catch me. So, and so Jack really has turned into, he started off a little tougher than he is right now. He's a little softer than he ever was. He's also a commander because he's lost 2 ships and been demoted from captain twice. So the only person that gave him a job was our captain here. Tell us about the captain, Aliza.
Oh, well, I'll be back later to tell.
All right, then you know what? You stick around for those info.
Yeah. Well, in just a moment, I'm actually gonna run over to say hi to some other folks at this party, but I just wanted to thank you all for coming to the party. Folks, check us out. Follow at Improvised Jen on Twitter and Instagram, and you'll see pictures of these lovely folks in our Starfleet best. And come back in a couple weeks for the Improvised Generation on screen.
Yes.
I'll see you guys later, okay?
Well,
All right.
we were. Hey, Aliza, I'm glad you wandered over with me. Look who I found over in this corner.
Wow.
Yay.
Amazing. We have Kitty Swink and Armin Shimerman.
Hi,
So good to
hi.
meet you both.
They who need no introduction, but if you insist, of course, Armin was Principal Snyder on Buffy. Oh, and then that other show.
That other show.
That other
Yes.
show.
That was actually my introduction to you. The Buffy.
Really? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Snyder was not the most pleasant of people.
I don't know.
It was
But it's one of
interesting.
those franchises. It's one of those franchises. And with him is his lovely wife, Kitty, and the lovely and talented Kitty Swink, who also has her Star Trek claim to fame. She was
Yes.
Bajoran Minister, so tiny prosthetics. She was Roseanne in season 2 in Sanctuary. And then you got to be a Vorta, lots of prosthetics, the full Star Trek treatment. Luaran as the Dominion War was going down. I forget the episode title, but yes. What was it? Do you know, Kitty? I'll put you on the spot.
I do. If I think about it, it'll come to me. It'll come to me later.
Just what you want someone to throw in your face when you walk in their party. Yeah.
You know what? The prosthetics were easy. It was the contact lenses I hated.
Oh,
yeah.
because they were thick. They blocked
They
vision.
went over your whole. There were scleras. They went over your whole. The white.
And you had to wear that magnifying glass over your eye as
Yeah,
well.
it was weird. That was
Oh, the little Dominion thingy. Yeah,
That was fun.
yeah. Wow. Well, I'm so glad. I'm so glad you're bopping in here. Aside from, you've done some virtual panels this summer, right, Armin?
We've done a couple, yes. They're not as much fun as a live audience, but they're still fun.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, did you do all? We tried to ship cocktails to you, but they wouldn't let us. So I don't know if you.
I brought my own straight from Quark's Bar.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
Wonderful.
awesome. Oh, in fact, I meant to tell you this. I realized I've been sitting on something for nearly 20 years. Oh, it has been 20. Oh, that's sad. Don't do math. Don't do math, people. But
More than
in
20
honor
years.
here, in honor of today and our party, I'm having a drink out of. I don't know if you recognize this.
I do recognize it. I served
This is-
enough of those. Yeah.
Let me get it over here. We didn't do a lot of scavenging, but when the shows was down in 99, this was my one thing of Quark's Bar. This was on the shelf, one of the many cheap IKEA plastic glasses, but this is screen used. So here's to you.
Thank you, Larry. You know, we were like you. I didn't do any
There's
scavenging.
one piece right
I
up there.
was given something by Doug Wexler, a piece of Quark's Bar. It's a little something up on the wall, and it's the only thing I took. Whereas Renee,
Oh my God.
went with a tow truck and took everything he could steal.
Indeed.
Oh, well, listen, we've got plenty of Star Trek. We've also got folks. Hey, if you're on the chat, if you're watching us, make sure and throw some questions in for Armin and Katie. We've got a good time here to chat. But what's exciting here on top of everything else is you've got a book coming out.
I do, and this is the very first place that I can talk about it.
Breaking news, guys. Breaking
it is
news.
Breaking news.
How many parties have you been to that you can say that?
I'm allowed to do anything I want now, Larry. I had to get permission, but as of 15 minutes ago, I got permission, and so I can talk about it. I can tell you where to find it. I can even tell you what it's about. But for those who are interested, it's a 3-part trilogy. That's what trilogies usually are.
Lovely.
And the trilogy is called Ellaria. The first book is called, oh my God, Something of Angels. Oh Lordy, what's it called? Something of Angels.
We have it.
I called it Ellaria for so long that I forgot.
I'm having to switch gears. Betrayal.
Betrayal. Thank you.
Betrayal.
I win the trivia. Okay.
And it comes out. The pre-sales start on October the 1st. It puts together my love of Shakespeare with my love of history, with my love of literature, and the book itself comes out on Guy Fawkes Day, which is November the 5th, but just so happens to be my birthday as well.
Remember.
Remember the 5th of November.
Very good.
Very good, Larry.
Mhm.
And
Well, something about the current political climate makes me think of Guy Fawkes a lot.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh boy.
So, and if people are interested, there are various places to go, which I think Larry will put up on the screen at the end of the
Mhm.
interview. So that's nice.
I think we have we got the cover going too. So, but along all those topics, all your interests and passions that you blended there, one of them I think was your ability to contribute to long-term projects. Hasn't this been like some time in the making?
Yes, this has been about 20 years in the making. I actually started writing it in the last couple seasons of Deep Space Nine. It was an idea given to me by a wonderful writer named Michael Scott, who I collaborated with on my first novel. For those of you listening, Larry and I collaborated on the fourth novel that I did, and he and I and David George all put together a book called The 34th Rule. And we all came up with the idea for the plot.
Armin, you're thinking of Eric.
It was Eric. It wasn't.
Oh,
Larry.
I would love to have been your co-author, but that was Eric Stillwell.
It
Well, it
was
certainly
Eric
was.
Stillwell. Oh my God! My
But-
apologies to you, and my apologies to Eric. You was Eric.
But I have to say, when Eric lived above us in
That's
the
right.
first place we lived in, you came by to do work with them, and you stuck your head in our door. And my daughter Sarah, whose favorite character was Quark, you just made her year. She was gobsmacked.
And now, how old is she?
Didn't say-
Never mind. I'm so sorry, Larry, but you're right. It was Eric.
You know,
You,
well,
David, and Eric. Yes.
Well, maybe you're not yet, but we're senior citizens, so we forget things.
That's what Google's for. What do you mean?
Exactly. That's what Google.
No, I remember you talking about John Dee off and on over the Dr. John Dee in this Tudor-ish era.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What's the log line for the book, basically?
Well, it's
Or
basically
the trilogy?
John Dee is a historical character who was a Renaissance man. Obviously, lived in the Renaissance, but he did a lot of things very well, and the log line is history meets Twelfth Night. That's basically it. The play Twelfth Night by Shakespeare. Shakespeare is the secondary character in the book, and it has to do with a historical.
You're going past the log line.
Okay, I'm going past it. It has to do with a historical conundrum that was happening during Elizabeth's sweet time, merry old England they call it, but it wasn't so merry. People were at each other's throats over religion.
Gee, what a surprise.
Mhm.
Right. I will say that William Shakespeare is Watson to John Dee's Holmes.
There's the logo. Okay.
Oh,
okay.
interesting. And isn't in the notes I saw that Shakespeare, isn't it like a young Shakespeare or?
It is a young Shakespeare. The only historical fact in my book that's not true is Shakespeare's age in my book. I make him about 2 or 3 years younger in order to fit my story. That's the only thing in the book that historically is not true.
It's not canon?
Wow.
It's not canon, Armin?
Everything else is, Larry. Everything else is. And of course, we have the characters from Twelfth Night, and that isn't true. But it is. They live the lives connected to what we think they might live out of the play Twelfth Night.
Okay.
Wow.
And I was doing a little research too. So Ellaria is the island. Can you do like a little setting? Because it's
Ellaria is the island that Twelfth Night takes place on.
right.
And actually, there was a place called Ellaria. It's actually what we think of as Turkey now. That's what that area was called at that time. And so the characters have to go to Ellaria to find out if the ruler of that island, Count Orsino, is being true to the crown or not, to the throne. And we follow the investigation during the course of 3 books.
Although, because I've read almost every draft good wife that I am, Ellaria now lives somewhere in the English Channel.
I was going to say, people are confused with the Ottoman, the Balkan, Ellaria. It's different. So John Dee he's a Renaissance man, but is there something, I'm getting kind of a Renaissance-y CSI kind of vibe coming out of this.
Exactly. Although nothing that I have my character do is out of the period. So
Right.
he does use things. He was a cryptographer, I believe that's the right word, for someone who decoded things. That is what he did, and he made codes up. So that's part of what he does do. He does have a number of talents that he had in the 1500s, and he does use them during the course of my book. Nothing that happens is outside of history or reality for that period. But it's a very exciting book, and a number of people, including Ira Bear and Rick Bergman, have all read parts of it and have all been very kind about how good the book is. So thank you.
Well, awesome.
Nice. And is it all coming out at the same time? Each part of the
No,
trilogy?
one book per year. The books have all been written. I already know how it ends, and I've done all that writing. But because it was 20 years in the writing, I think I wrote too much. And so I couldn't get it all into one book. I couldn't even get it all into 2 books. So it's now coming out into 3 books, and every year there will be a new book. So it's like a TV show. You have a cliffhanger, and you have to wait for the next episode.
So unlike Game of Thrones, people who get into your
actually,
book trilogy
George is writing me a
will not have
review
to
as
wait.
well.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Well, we won't slander his name, but that's great news to hear that all 3 books are written, and that, you know, if people read the first one, the next one is already done.
It's
over the hump.
He's rewriting and rewriting and rewriting and rewriting and rewriting. He sometimes spends 10 hours in front of the computer. So.
A writer once told me, and it's absolutely true. Writing is rewriting. You're never happy with what you have, so you want to polish it up a little bit more. It's like acting. It's exactly the same. You always want another take. I mean, I did anyway. Always wanted another take to make it a little bit better.
One more rehearsal.
Right. Well, and I've been in a situation where it's like, you've got 6 months to do this major book that's going to be on people's shelves, you know, for 30 years probably. And what a blessing to have that kind of time to do that. So we've got primarily a Star Trek audience here watching here at the party. What would be an analogy for, what would be some strings or threads from DS9 or any Trek that would be, you know, that would carry over here, ping people's interest to follow John D and his adventure, this trilogy?
I don't know. I would imagine morality, religion, standing up for what you believe in, risking your life. All those things are part and parcel of Star Trek, and certainly part of my book as well. So there's that. And also, if I may, give a shout out to our writers in all the Treks. You have good writing, and I'm very proud of my writing, and I'm very proud of the writing on the Star Trek franchise as well. So you have good writing, and I think that's really most important. It's a story that is a page turner. You will find yourself getting to the end of the book rather quickly, and be chagrined that you don't have another book right away.
And it's funny, which is also
funny.
quite helpful. I mean, you know, not all the time, but quite a bit. Yeah.
It's not unrelentingly.
No, it's not history. There are laughs in it. If you're familiar with 12th Night, there's some inside jokes as well. And I try to keep, there was a wonderful Elizabethan writer who said that the responsibility of literature is to educate and entertain. I tried to do that.
Well,
I think Star Trek tries to do that too.
Considering entertaining there, speaking of, and educating, you two are both still very involved with Antaeus Theater. What's going on with the Antaeus? Maybe tell everybody what that is here. It's an LA theater. And what's the virtual pandemic world question from Erin Harvey here? What's coming up at the theater, and are you making any virtual plans like Improvised Generations?
And before you start, let me just say that Kitty's one of the 2 artistic directors of the theater.
Thank you. My husband. Thank you. So we have some radio plays called the Zip Code Plays coming out in podcast format. They're going to drop on November 12th. We've asked the writers from our Playwrights Lab. We discovered that what people missed in this pandemic is the sense of community, which is one of the things Star Trek gives you so beautifully. And how much did we like to gather at conventions and see each other? And that's usually when I see you, Larry, is at a convention.
Yeah.
Right. So we all miss that. And our theater goers and our students and our actors all missed each other. And so we thought, let's do plays about little sections, little neighborhoods and communities in LA. And so we picked 6 pitches from our Playwrights Lab, and we've hired actors, many of whom you guys who are, you know, Antaeus's theater is full of Star Trek actors. Tamlin, Linda Park, Armin, Rhonda Aldridge, who played Madeline on Next Gen.
Dixon Hill's secretary.
Yeah, that's right.
Hill's secretary. You're so good. And lots of Harry Grunner, me, lots of us. So because you've got to have classical actors to do really good Star Trek, as we know. So we're doing these zip code plays that are dropping. They're free. They'll be on a lot of different podcast formats, and they'll be on our homepage. And Armin and I will tweet about it, so that's great. And we're continuing to do classes. Armin's teaching master classes that Star Trek fans from around the world have come to to join him on, which has been great. Ronan Healy, everybody from Star Trek Ireland knows Ronan Healy because he's just the greatest. Came from Ireland. We had somebody come from Japan, Hong Kong,
Afghanistan.
It's been amazing.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
we've been doing that, and you know, we're just trying to keep creating things for the world to enjoy during this time when we can't be together.
It's difficult because the pandemic is keeping people from gathering, and the theater is about gathering, humanity gathering together in one place and going through an adventure together. The Zoom tries to emulate that, and it does it as best it can, but there's nothing the same as actually live theater.
Yeah, and we've both worked in theaters literally all over the world, and TS is the only place I've been where the audience and the actors and the designers and the directors mingle regularly outside in the lobby. It's pretty great.
Oh, very nice. Well, we're going to have to move on over to another corner of the party here for a second, but I do know we've lost Erin, we've lost Renee, and I know we've had a chance to talk about that and mourn both and the lossing. It's just, this year has just been unrelenting, but I know both of you are very active in political things. And the bottom line here is just that we've been saying, your message, I think, is just everybody get active and go vote.
Absolutely. Right? I will be ecumenical and say that I don't care how you vote, as long as you vote. It is your responsibility to vote. If we have any responsibilities at all as citizens of this country, and that is to vote. So make your voice heard, vote. I would suggest that you vote early, but even if you vote on the day of elections, spend the time, be prepared, be safe.
Make a plan.
Go and vote. Every vote counts. This is an enormously important election.
And I have to say that our healthcare is in the balance. We have 25% of the world's cases of COVID and only 4% of the world's population. So vote, make your voice heard, please.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I feel the need to wander to the other, as much as it's been great to chat with you guys. So congratulations on the book.
So great to meet you all. I can't wait to check
Thank
out
you.
We can't wait to see you live on stage.
Thank you. Yeah, we'd love to see you. If you're in chat, if you have a Twitch account, then just say hi to us in the chat, and we'd be so pleased to see you.
Great.
And I can't wait to check out your radio plays too. That sounds so awesome.
They're awesome. I think you're really gonna like them.
Well, we've got all the details coming up here as we say goodbye to you and move over, but we've got all the info here for everybody. So good luck with the book. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
It's lovely to see you. Yes.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
kiss a boy, sand like silk, hand on my saber, blue like milk. In the pits, no sarlacc, stuck in space, Death Star's back. Cold-blooded Kylo, trying to be a man, posing in a mask, he'll never be our hand. Oh, whither ye hand, your son's trust is false. Pull out your gun, give Kylo a pulse. There's no balance, only tears in the galaxy. You can hear as a Wookiee burns, as a Wookiee burns, as a Wookiee burns. There's no balance, only tears in the galaxy. You can hear. No one to love, I must not hate, but rage I feel, so is this fate. I still have hope, is that the way? Without love, we've lost today. In the deserts of Jakku and Tatooine, the sad swamps will take a buck. Haven't seen what you've seen. I'm all alone, but wait, hands along. He's not lost. My past is strong. And the Wookiee purrs, and the Wookiee purrs. You can hear him purr. And the Wookiee purrs, and the Wookiee purrs, and the Wookiee purrs. You can hear him purr. That's the Wookiee
It's always a tingle. It's always a tingle on that.
Yeah, it's weird being beamed in. It's such a strange sensation.
But you know, when you're leaving a bar, being beamed right home could be a great lifesaver.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Don't even have
More
to
Star
worry
Trek
about
technology in
getting
our
a-
corner. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, this has been so
Larry,
much fun, girl.
Yeah, this has been so much fun. We're at the top of the hour, so we want to remind everyone
Yes.
to, if you're on Twitter or Instagram or other social places, hashtag Starfleet Cocktail Party, at Improvised Gen, Gen, at Larry Nemecek, at Aliza Pearl, just post. Also, I wanted to say this before. First of all, if you did get a cocktail mixed for yourself or a mocktail, show us on Twitter. Take a picture, use the hashtag, show us what you're drinking. If you dressed up for our party, show us your outfit too.
Yes.
And what else? Any other reminders before we
Hashtag Starfleet Cocktail Party. I have a new hashtag I came up here when you kept talking about your mocktails. So I was going to say there should be a hashtag mocktail time.
Yes. Hashtag
Yes.
mocktail time. Anyone
Yes.
who is not drinking alcohol like me.
Dum 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 dum.
Hashtag mocktail time. Is it a mocktail time like amok time? A mocktail time.
Oh, maybe that would get the idea across better.
Hashtag
Yes. Yeah.
a mocktail time. There we go.
A mocktail
All right.
time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so we've got an incredible hour coming up. We got more people coming up. I hope everybody's having a great time. And again, if you're watching us and you hear us talk about questions from the chat room, people are streaming. If you've got a Twitch account, you can leave chat comments, and we're pulling questions in. In fact, we've used them a couple of times.
Yep,
So
we have. We might not hit every single one, but we're gonna grab as many as we can fit in.
Right.
Yeah, and actually, my next guest is Larry Nemecek of Portal 47. So, yeah, I know it's kind of meta, right? Kind of weird. So if you have questions for Larry, please put those in the chat. I have lots of questions for Larry because I've known you, Larry, for like 5+ years now. And I remember when we met. Yeah,
yes.
You remember?
You say on the floor at Comic-Con San Diego.
That's right.
Comic-Con and you were all Guinan. You were Guinan
head to toe Guinan, big hat, yellow dress. It must have been like 2013, maybe 2014.
Before the last few years, before the Star Trek comeback and before the 50th. If I saw anyone at San Diego in Trek guys, I was like, I have to stop and talk to this person.
Yeah, same. Yeah, and I mean, like, yeah, I think I was asking you questions too. Like, I didn't know who you were at the time, and I think did I stop you to ask a question or something?
No, I think I stopped you to take a picture, to do a cosplay picture, and then you told me about your idea for a Guinan story and a younger Guinan, and you were all in Guinan. Was it like a yellow ochre?
Yeah,
mustard.
Yeah, I should grab that hat. You know what? I'm gonna grab that hat on my next break. I'll rock my Guinan hat if it fits over my hair.
Anyway, but that was the beginning, as Louis says to Rick, of a beautiful friendship. So I'm so glad we did meet, because then I opened the door into the improv, met more of you, but the whole Improvised Generation troupe and this incredible world that you guys are now taking virtual.
I know this is your time to talk about your stuff, but I'm just gonna, since you opened that door for me, I'm gonna say what's so lovely about us doing this work, like Improvised Star Trek, is that we're fans, and we're also professional actors who are now just like marrying our interests on stage and now on Twitch and in Zoom. And it's so fun to like practice our craft and our artistry as actors and improvisers with Star Trek, and doing it in a loving, reverent way, not trying to like, this is not our IP. So it's not like we can like make money off of doing this, but we're doing it in a like very dedicated, steadfast manner. And it is especially rewarding when people like you, Larry, people who are professional Trek people, who come in and love our show and give us so much love and support. So thank you so much for that.
Well, you're very welcome. And again, it's the kind, I call it within the family. It's the same way I know people were really paranoid about Lower Decks being a comedy and being animated. And I think and a lot of people still, the humor, they get it. And the humor is not quite their brand of humor.
Yeah, it's not for everyone.
But they get it that from the heart, it's coming from a bunch of fans. It's like 10 years of Facebook memes. It's like it's that same kind of in the family humor. Now an outsider can't get away with this, but if it's in the family, then it's and that's what the Improvised
is like. So let's actually so we're talking about improv, but let's talk about you, Larry. Tell me, so you have 2 banners that you work under. Your amazing work as a Star Trek preserver and journalist. You've written books about Star Trek. Can you tell me what Trekland and Portal 47 are?
Well, there's a danger. I had a lot of interest when I was a kid. I wound up going into theater, theater, and also journalism. Worked mainly for a paycheck, a standard paycheck in news and journalism. But as a Trek fan, something happened where I saw what was happening in behind the scenes Star Trek, which is also a huge fan of mine. But now we say world building, and and now people are doing before we had fancy buzzwords for all these things. Those are my interests as a fan, and that's what I did. And I had a million interests. But as years go by, you've got to focus on something. And when I realized that there were opportunities to self-publish when the computer revolution came along, and I did my background book, my canon collection for the Next Generation that wound up on the writer's desks at Paramount, which led to the Next Generation Companion, which was just awesome. And if I'm going to be attached to any show to have been like this revolution in TV, much less Star Trek Companion, that was a great thing to be attached to. But that wound up getting us to LA and working on all kinds of projects and things for Star Trek and branching out and doing that. And then the world turns and we're all digital now, and we're doing things like this and making an adjustment there. And when Star Trek went down after 2005, and it was like, well, what do I do with all this? The world is changing. There's no Star Trek. What do I do? And a few years later, came up with, now we say it's experiences, but I knew there was so much Star Trek that fans didn't know about, that I had seen and been a witness to here in LA and working at the studios. And that's what Trekland is. Trekland is my shorthand way, and Dr. Trek is my shorthand way of not saying author, editor, interviewer, host, actor, director, because that sounds like what is it? Master of none, jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, but it's very cool too that you've been able to pull in so many of your own skills and background and then focus it into this work of basically preserving. You're like a historian. You're a doctor of history of Trek.
I hate to go too far with that on a lot of, I say Dr. Trek, it's obviously a mocking. When Dr. Ali and I do Life Support Live, and he's a psychologist, and we say Dr. Trek and Dr. Ali, one of us is a real doctor. But it's a way of saying that, yeah, it's an avocation and a buff and a deep history. And I know I don't have the academic credentials, but that's I have a lot of training in a lot of those areas, and that's what I do. But it's basically me sitting around looking at Star Trek and going, oh, well, I may be weird, but I want this. Or why is nobody doing this?
Yeah.
And why is nobody improving Star Trek? Well, look what you guys did,
Yeah, you know what, that makes sense that we connected the way we did, because we're both carving out our own little Trekkie, professional / Trekkiness. I had a question for you, because I didn't know that you do tours as well.
Yeah, 10 years ago, Terrace Cassidy, who has a great company called Geek Nation Tours, said, would a tour of Star Trek location sites in LA, do you think that would work? And I'm like, oh yeah, hell yeah. And we've done that several times. And then branching out of that, I call it Trekland Treks now. And I use Trekland as my banner instead of rattling off those 18 or 20 jack of all trades words. I just say I work in Trekland, and I've said that for like 20 years. And now we need handles and labels and things, and it comes in handy. And I realized that we can do, when people are on vacation or they come here for a convention, if you were to take a day tour and pick from a menu and do your own custom, I'll work with you, and then I'll lead you around and also give you the background, things off location maps and call sheets. And you can cosplay. We have so much fun. People that travel with action figures or stuffed figures, and I help them set up their pictures. If the famous places like Vasquez Rocks, and then the obscure places too. And you pick it out and we pre-plan it, and it's a lot of fun. And
wow. So
just cranking with it the last couple of years. And then the pandemic's kind of put the kibosh on that, but we will be back and doing that all the time. So meanwhile, we have Portal 47.
I already follow you, but I'm definitely going to keep an eye out for these tours, because I would love, and I have some family possibly going to visit at some point. So I'd love to check out some of your Trekland tours. And
they're custom, but I also offer them like 2 or 3 times a year. I'll just set a weekend and say, okay, here we're going to do this on a preset schedule if you want to jump in or get yourself to LA. Yeah. Is
there any possibility you'll do like a digital tour, since we're in COVID time?
I have wondered about that, because part of it, informationally, intellectually, it's awesome. Or me go there myself, the masked lone tour guide or something. There's nothing like you being there to take your own, pictures and your own cosplay or experience it yourself. I've thought about that. We'll see how we go through the winter and into the spring, at what shape things are in. I might. I've had people ask me.
Yeah. All right. Anything else that you can tell us about Portal 47 while we're here?
Well, Portal 47 is the mini-con all year long that we do, that I started doing 5 years ago before Zooming was a thing. And it was a way to bring people what we're doing right now. At least the COVID time has let me not have to explain what that part's like. But no, it's all that part of Star Trek. I say Portal 47 is like a mini-con all year long. And it's for all the Star Trek fans who have no idea how much Star Trek they still have no idea about. So we hear from backstage people, things out of my archives, and we have roundtables. It's a great community. And we're having our open house the last Wednesday of October, where we basically open the portal up and everybody can come in free. And if you go to my website, the contact is there as we fade out here. There's a big button there to get on the list for open house. It's all free, and we'll have some pre-show prizes and a lot of fun things happen that night. But that's kind of like my big event of the year for Portal, for the outside world, on top of everything else we do.
Everybody go check out Larry's Portal 47 Go to that open house. There's just like so much wonderful information he shares between that and his podcasts and everything he does. Thank you so much, Larry. I mean, let's roam around this party some more.
I was going
right?
to say, thanks for taking a break and letting me. Yeah.
This flood repeats. When it crests, the feeling swells. The wave upturned the sandy strait. Look out, it's about to break. The desert silent roars. The wave forming the air and in the sea. Feeling the ocean's emotions taking over me. Those soothing voices, those peaceful waves. The gale winds rise up again. Tsunami forms, the flood repeats. Sunlight on my head, skylight above my head. Bounce light floods the walls, my glowing heart walks the halls. Why am I attracted to the siren's call? The beauty with the pain to leave me mortified. What more could you ask for? The missing key. You complain about being trapped. God, I love it though. Somebody still speaks for the sea. Thinking of drowning, yeah. I'm thinking of drowning,
Oh my goodness, my babies. Hi. Oh my goodness. Okay, everybody. These are two of my favorite humans ever. Okay. We have Aki and we have Sam de Leve. And we're going to talk about Star Trek and TTRPGs. You know what I'm about to say? I'm so excited! That's a little inside joke coined by Sam de Leve, one Sam de Leve. Hi, folks. It's so good to see your faces.
It's good to see you on Starfleet Bridge.
Thank you. I actually was gonna, I am going to switch over to a Klingon ship soon when I talk about the Klingon stuff. But yes, I'm here on the Next Generation Bridge to greet you all. Talk about Star Trek
ramps.
And RP. Yes, with the ramps. Yes, gotta have the ramps. What? Yep. Yes, okay. So like I want to, for all the people who are here at the party watching and don't know the work that the three of us have done, both together and separately, can you both just give us a rundown of what Star Trek stuff is happening in the TTRPG world, particularly with Streampunks?
Yes, so for the past 2-3 years, the Streampunks, who are a group that include the three of us and also folks like Eric Campbell, Gina DeVivo, many of us alumni of the Geek and Sundry and Nerdist show and communities, started a show called Shield of Tomorrow, which was a Star Trek RPG show that was streamed live and broadcast. All three of the people you see here were either on the bridge or a part of the crew and then eventual command team, these two. We have all continued on to a new show, the Starfleet component of which on the USS Ross launched on Twitch Q Times back in January, and more recently, a second ship launched, captained by a highly illustrious figure.
Yes.
We're both big fans of her.
Massive fan.
My Klingon background. Nice little bird of prey back there. I don't know if you can see with the cropping.
It looks good.
Blood of the Void. Yes. We have Clear Skies, the Starfleet show on Q Times, and Blood of the Void, the Klingon show on Q Times. Yes. So I mean, people have been playing Star Trek Adventures But I feel like our group has been since the newest version of this game came out, our group has been at the that like outward facing live play of it. And yeah, like
When
you
I
guys,
got the character creation rules the day that those were finalized for the beta. That was when we created our characters. I remember our first session 0. We've been around since the beginning of this particular iteration of role-playing. It's not the first Star Trek tabletop game. There was the old FASA one, and that's still just great lore. Half of Memory Beta, I swear, is based on the old FASA modules in some way or another. So it's been around.
I have what I think is the Vulcan lore book from that. And it was written by, maybe he's watching, Gareth Skarka. He was one of the writers on that. And he found our show because I tweeted a picture of myself reading the book that he wrote, which is crazy. I love you, Star Trek community. That's how it happens.
I have both the Orion Common and Deep Knowledge books from FASA and used that to inform the character that I play for Clear Skies, an Orion captain.
Nice. Yeah,
along
there's
with our
a lot
Delton
of
ambassador, who's super cool. I just have to shout them out because they're super cool.
Yes. So questions. Tell me what's new in Clear Skies, and for people who might not be, who are Trekkies but aren't familiar with TTRPG, can you Aki, can you tell me what is that experience like? Like if someone starts watching Clear Skies, what are they in for?
So Clear Skies is an interesting thing because it happens outside of what is currently any of the more recent like Star Trek shows. Like we're kind of in between timelines. We're after DS9 and Voyager. We're before Picard, and so we're kind of living in this no man's land of story, which means we have a lot of flexibility in what kind of stories we can tell, and what sort of sandboxes we get to play in because of that. And on Clear Skies, we've been dealing a lot actually with the development of the Romulan and Starfleet or the Federation relationship. That's kind of been like a big part of what our story has been like for the last couple of months. And it's likely to be a big part of the next couple of months as well, depending on how things shape up. But it's been very interesting. I think people coming in to watch our show are going to see a lot of the familiarity and heart of Trek, while also noticing that we are doing a lot that might not necessarily be immediately familiar. Like we have a holographic XEO, which is a big deal. Like we decided to like go full tilt and like holograms and where they fit in the world of Star Trek, and kind of spin off of the Doctor a little bit and really like pull bigger stories out of that.
There's so much we can do in the space between the end of Voyager and the beginning of Picard, which is where our story is set. There's a lot of room to play and to tell stories, drawing off of what we have seen in so much of Trek, and maybe providing a little foreshadowing here and there for other pieces of later Trek canon.
Nice. Well, yeah, I definitely feel like we, again, just like talking with Larry just now, we were talking about how people, what's cool about Trekkiness and then like creative professionals in Trek is that we carve out these spaces that we want to see for ourselves. And so I feel like the TTRPG world in Trek has been doing that now. And since 2017, when we started at Geek and Sundry, which by the way, people, you can see these shows that we've done. So you can see Shield of Tomorrow on YouTube. I'll make sure to tweet out a link. I'm not sure if it's on our outro graphics, but we'll make sure to get a link out to people and maybe in the chat too. We also are, you can see us every Monday night on Q Times here on Twitch. Clear Skies is 3 times a month, and then Blood of the Void, our Klingon show, is the 4th Monday of every month. So,
or the last, depending on the month that it is.
Thank you. Yes, the last Monday. Actually, tomorrow we're going to have a Klingon show. But thank you both for joining us. Please enjoy the party. I'm going to roam around some more. Yes, you have your synthahol in your purple bottle. Love it.
Naturally. Always synthahol. I would never drink actual alcohol on my
Not
ship.
while on duty.
Certainly not. That would be wrong and bad.
Well, thank you both so much. And I'll see you later. I'm going to roam around this party a little bit more.
Enjoy.
Well, hey, you guys, I seem to have lost Aliza here the last few minutes, but I'm not lost because this is such an awesome party. Look who I've run into. It's the great multiple Emmy award-winning Mr. Dan Curry. Dan, I'm so glad you could come by and join us here.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
This is it's so good to see you. It's been a rough year for everybody. And before I say any more, we have that trite phrase, the person who needs no introduction. But I want to say Dan was an 18-year veteran of what people are now calling the Berman era of Star Trek. But Next Generation all the way through DS9 Voyager, Enterprise, increasingly as roles and structure shifted to be visual effects producer, which was kind of unique on Star Trek. Worked on a couple of the movies, did the titles, went far beyond the realm of visual effects. And those in the know, like Klingon fans, know that all these major contributions to Klingon culture, starting with the Batleth and the Mechlith, but all fun stuff. And kind of what's also exciting this year, and I'm glad you're here to talk with us about it in more than one way, is you've got a book celebrating all this coming out.
This is true. It was commissioned by CBS, and the book is to celebrate the many, many people that were involved in creating the visual effects for Star Trek. And also it talks about the symbiosis between the various departments, that without the cooperation and support of the art department, the makeup department, the camera department, we wouldn't have been able to create all those illusions. And the other important thing to keep in mind is that I was fortunate to be in a leadership position, but the effects were created by an army of really dedicated, incredibly talented artists who had an amazing learning curve to get to the level where they could push the work that push the images we wanted onto screen. And the other important thing is that we worked with people in motion control, 2D compositing, digital animation, matte painting, and it was a joy and a pleasure to work with so many gifted people and be part of creating those illusions to create imagery for the universe in which our Star Trek stories unfolded.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I've known you since I was working on my second iteration, the one I got to actually work on and didn't have to do in 6 months, the red edition of the Next Generation Companion. And I got to meet you and all the incredible army of backstage people that brought Star Trek to life. But the thing I've always known about you is, yes, you're always very humble and very quick to point out the army of people that work on the show. And it's people on staff and also the vendors at the different effects houses and compositing
Absolutely.
and editing. And so this just popped in my mind, and I want to get back to you at Star Trek, but I don't know if you're because you work with the Visual Effects Society, which is kind of the visual effects world's industries.
It's
guild
worldwide organization. In
right.
many countries. I was honored last year to be elected a Visual Effects Society Fellow, so I was super appreciative of that. And the other thing I wanted to cover in the book is the evolution of visual effects technology. When we started Star Trek, we shot motion control miniatures. Our matte paintings were done in oils, like the incredible background I have behind me, done by my friend and super talented artist, Sid Dutton. This is the inside of the Borg cube.
Thank you for that. Yes.
Green paper. And I did a lot of special diagrams to explain how things were done. And there are illustrations, there are anecdotes from the stars and crew. There are images of our motion control stage and how many people are required to bring a single illusion into existence. And so I wanted to preserve those technologies before they disappear. Now that everything's done on the computer, we have a lot more limitations in even how far the ship could roll before you'd see the model mount. And so I wanted that to be remembered before it got lost.
Well, that's one thing. Yes, those 18 years I mentioned into today, we go from the motion control, and that's like the models, the miniatures on a camera mount with the camera either moving to the camera or the camera moving in. And the advancement of technology there was in the original series, it was they are moving the mount and the camera is stationary, and motion control was kind of out of the Star Wars revolution.
Well, just the opposite. We kept the models in one place and moved the camera, and the camera could go back and forth on the track. It could go east, west on another track, and up and down on a tower. And the reason you wanted to keep the model in one spot was that way you didn't have to light a corridor. You just had to light one spot. And the model could roll, pitch, and yaw, but it didn't go back and forth. And then to make sure the background moved in proper sync with the model, we would take the same pan tilt information that we used on the camera move, on the dolly move, but without the track information, so that we would stick the camera inside a little cyclorama of backlit stars, and that way you see the stars move in proper.
I mean, the original computer revolution of visual effects was the whole motion control programming, where you're augmenting the physical models. But you were there from that era, and not just the physical process, but how in the world do we do this on a TV show cranking out with the budget that we have? That's the other part of the ingenuity here. And a lot of the, that's what's fun about some of your stories. And I know what's in the book is some of the analog things that you all did on the time, not so much even money, but on the time pressure you had. And then we get into CGI, where it's a whole different. The early days are like, how much can we render, and how do we get rid of the CGI look and all of that. The perch you had from those days, just taking what was available and revolutionizing it and pushing the envelope to make it happen, and then transitioning into the CGI era and have it look good and presentable is just.
We were no strangers to 60 to 80-hour weeks.
Yes.
I know when we did the finale of Deep Space Nine, What You Leave Behind, we had 350 shots, including space battles, fire caves, and we had a little over 3 weeks to do them. And so we just got everybody on board. We barely went home. We would just stay up all night and keep shooting and shooting and shooting, or compositing until we were done. And we barely finished the time.
And for the rest of the company, I always loved how at the wrap party, when they finished on stage, it's like, well, we'll come over for an hour, but I've got 2 months of work to do still, or whatever it would be. Like you would be the last ones home. Yeah. I've got a question from the chat here, and then I want to talk about the book and some of your artwork too while we've got the time. So Glenn Vegas is saying, were you a Star Trek fan before you worked on the show? And I know the answer.
Not that much. When the original series was on, I was in college and didn't really get a chance to see it. In those days, no college students had TVs, and we didn't have time to watch anyway. So I was aware of it, but I've always been a science fiction fan. So anything with science fiction would be right up my alley. And probably the most influential movie that got me hooked was Forbidden Planet, which was the inspiration for a lot of the cerebral sci-fi that followed it.
And a lot of Gene's, the service, having ranks and people with positions and a crew and all that. A lot of the inspiration for what Star Trek became. Hey, I keep saying this. I want to talk about the book and I want to talk about what's been going on with you this year. But really quickly, what was the first thing? You came in as the first season was unspooling on Next Generation. And as they realized that their visual effects needs were going to be way bigger than what they were going to have to find a way to staff and afford in budget, all the visual effects Bob Justman started off trying to keep it small, like the original series with library shots. And that quickly became not a thing. What was the first thing I remember the episode you came in, but do you remember memory of the first shot you worked on?
Well, I was actually involved prior to production. Peter Lorison, who had left his post as TV post-production supervisor for Paramount Pictures, asked me if I would do 40 storyboards of stock shots that they thought would suffice for the entire run of the series. And we had the Enterprise leaving orbit, entering orbit, flyby, and Andy Probert had designed the Enterprise 1701D, and I had photographs of that so I could have a reference to doing those storyboards. And then during the pilot, they quickly realized that they needed more help to get the volume of work done. And Peter called me up and asked me if I would join the team. So I left my position at Cinema Research as Director of Creative Services and joined Star Trek because I thought it would be more fun. And it was.
Well, the book is coming out. It's been pushed back a little bit. It's December 1st.
December 1st now, yeah.
Yes, and we've got the information about getting that. But I wanted to take just a second to update everybody. You've an incredible artist, as you were saying. I say analog artist, which makes it sound so. All the traditional art modes and had done art and did a lot of those for the show. And we've got some pieces that a lot of them are in the book, including, yes, the Batleth and the Mechleth. But I wanted, that's all there. And a lot of us know that, and we've got images of it. But I want to talk about some of your art there too. We've got, if they can show this, everything from very traditional. This is a Cape Cod house that you have a connection with. There's one image.
Well, I did that from memory where we used to live on Cape Cod, and that was in the Tatuit salt marshes. And there were these beautiful reflections, and at a certain time of day, there was a period of absolute stillness, and usually happened in the autumn when the sea breeze would change to a land breeze. And there was that 15-minute window where the shift was happening, and I wanted to capture that stark, absolute stillness of that moment.
Well, it's haunting, but I love that because you have that, and then you get into some of the surreal kind of quality. There's one that's over the years, several things, but the one I know you enjoyed was the one that's structural, and it's charcoal gray.
This one got me started doing matte painting. Marcia Lucas, who was George's wife at the time, saw an exhibition of painting and came and found me and asked me if I was interested in matte painting, and I said, "What's that?" And that's the beginning of that career. And that was the view from the Shrestha Lodge in Kathmandu, and I did that painting while I was waiting for my trekking permit, which took a couple of weeks.
Well, you have a lot of Star Trek projects that you were able to contribute to. Some of the backgrounds and landscapes came out of your time in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, well, if you look at this painting
mhm.
and you look at Klingon architecture, you can see the influence of Himalayan architecture and Laotian architecture on the exteriors of Klingon buildings and Klingon outposts.
It's well, it's handy. It comes in handy for that kind of
Well,
thing.
your life becomes your reference.
Yes. Well, and then sometimes you even you marry aspects of your.
Well, that's what artists do, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah. So we've got some other images here that some of your and I'm going to hope here that Arlo can get them up for us. Some of the other aspects. So I've got this one that's structural, and it's Devon, your son. It's what is there a story behind that piece?
Yeah, he was 15 at the time I did that one, and I wanted to do a portrait of him, but I was not interested in doing a traditional portrait. So he sat down and I did a quick sketch of him and spent the next 2 years doodling on a 5-foot tall canvas with charcoal and Prisma pencils.
Yeah. So you've got a wide variety of art. Some of it we've seen on screen that's traditional, that lends itself to matte paintings or aspects of things, aspects of traditional needs that the show needs. But your original art here that in fact, somebody asked in the chat, Nanny196 said, take some time to chat about your own artwork. And we're doing that. But what I want to marry two topics here, it's been an insane year here. So glad that your book is coming out, and so much of these we're all Trek here. Everybody's interested in the specific details of shows are cool, but also that big tapestry of how visual effects have changed and the army of people. I was going to say, nowadays, it seems like when we watch movies and even TV series, we see the armies of people are all getting screen credit, which wasn't true back in the day, unfortunately. But at least your book is helping to, give people the scope of that. That's one thing I've always tried to do too, is remind people of the scope. But this year, you had a scare. I mean, and I'm kind of, you've brought some artwork here that we're going to show, but tell everybody what was up with you the last couple of months.
Well, on July 2nd, I thought I was having a heart attack and went to see our cardiologist, who gave me an EKG and sent me right across the street to St. Joseph's Hospital to the emergency room, and they gave me a COVID test, and it turned out that it wasn't a heart attack, it was COVID-19. And they moved me into isolation. I spent days in the hospital, occasionally watching a covered gurney go by my door. And then they sent me home, and I divided the house in two with plastic sheets so that my wife, who thank God never contracted the virus, lived in one end of the house and I lived in the other. And after a few weeks of isolation, came back up to rejoin what purports to be normalcy. And it was a very frightening experience, especially when they come in and ask you all these questions. Well, what if this? Do you want to be intubated if something happens? How do you want your body to be dealt with? And it wakes you up, and it becomes especially infuriating when I see people still thinking it's a hoax and laughing it off, and it's hardly a hoax, trust me.
Well, I know you were sitting here thinking, but wait, I have a book coming out. I have a tour. I have promotion to do for my... We don't want that. Well, Dan, listen, this has been a wonderful... I'm so thrilled we've got word of the book out, but also just giving folks a little inkling. Everybody that works on Star Trek, they're so multi-talented, have so many different passions and interests. And I know you do. And from the VES on down, I mean, just the political world. But anyway, everybody, the book is coming out. Dan's The Art and Artistry of Dan Curry is close to the title.
Close. It's the publisher's title. I would have gone with something less grandiose, but it's Star Trek, The Artistry of Dan Curry.
Okay. Shut up and take it, Dan. No, no. Listen, thank you so much for wandering by the party. And I'm so glad you're here to talk with us. And I can't wait for all the other book events coming down the line. There we go.
Hey, Dan, everybody vote.
There we go. Hey. There you are, Aliza. My gosh, this party is so big. I guess I didn't realize I'd have time to get lost in the mob.
Yeah, there's a lot of little pockets and corners and people to say hi to. I had a friend who's in Fiji right now that I had to go say hi to over there in the corner.
Oh, okay.
The digital corner.
Well, look who I've ran into.
Yes. Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
It's
Mr.
the man
John
who
Billingsley.
Oh, okay. I was like, we've had so many people that needed no introduction, but they do. Yes.
Introduce away.
It's Dr. Phlox and so much more.
You're seeing me at my sweatiest and most grotesque, but
You had an adventure right before, so
just a small adventure. I don't know if I'd call it an adventure. I'd call it a mishap. Yes, I was going for a little walk. I thought I'd get a walk in before this event, and on the way back, I stepped in a little hole and I twisted my ankle.
Oh,
so I I hopped back home. So
your own encounter with the black hole, the wrong kind, the worst kind. Yeah.
Yes, it's horrible to get to the age where it's just like the simplest thing. It's like I hurt myself opening a mayonnaise jar. Growing old.
But you're here now, and you know, and that just makes it
beverage like you have. What are you drinking there?
That's
Is that a grasshopper?
No, I'm trying to think of an alien Star Trek drink for a green drink that's escaping me at the moment. All
Vulcan
the blue
blood.
ones I know.
It's a Vulcan blood martini.
Is it a watermelon?
Okay, it's a Vulcan blood extract. There we go.
And what earthly liquors would be in that? Vicariously through your cocktail.
Well, do I tell the prop recipe or do I tell the no?
I want the actual booze. Is it gin-based, vodka-based? Tell.
It's 7-Up and green food coloring.
Oh, that's a bit of a
Good
letdown.
idea.
I'm hit.
Okay. That doesn't exactly send me hurrying to my bar cart, Larry.
Okay, John, I had my quartz glass here with rum and diet in it. Is that better? Okay.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Whatever patina of sophistication you might have had in my eyes, you have blown.
It's all smoke and mirrors.
It's all patina.
Jeez.
No, come on. Okay.
Or
Through hell and high
patina, if
water,
you prefer.
I'm glad you made it. I'm glad you made it back.
I am glad I made it back as well. Thank you.
But thank you for
Whoops,
helping us launch the Emperor Generations.
You're freezing a little bit on me there, Larry.
Oh, sorry.
That's
I said I'm just glad you made it back to help us launch the Improvised Generations virtual. That's what this party is about, and join us here in hour 2.
Happy to be here.
So I know you love to talk about how Dr. Phlox and your Star Trek experience was. You were on the failed show.
I was about to say, I know you love to talk, and I'm really glad you let that sentence continue on because that would have been. I know you love to talk.
I'm guessing we have lots of Star Trek veterans watching the party right now, so I didn't think that was an issue either way. Yeah, people know what they know.
Well, unless you've seen me on a panel with Dominic Keating, in which case you'd think, boy, that boy never opens his mouth. True for anybody who's on a panel with Dominic Keating. Is Dominic Keating here tonight?
No.
Whoosh. Okay, good. So I can insult him freely. I can make fun of Dominic Keating to my heart's content, is what you're saying.
We want you to, but we also want to hear what you're up to since that little failed show ended so long ago. But the 20th anniversary is next year, though.
Oh my God! 20 years since it started, or 20 years since it ignominiously crept away with its tail between its legs. I used to call it the show that killed the franchise, but now, of course, every time you turn on the television, it's a Star Trek show. There's nothing on television except Star Trek. So CSI, Star Trek, NCIS, Star Trek this, Star Trek that.
Oh, we should be so lucky to get a Star Trek CSI. I would eat that up. Seriously.
I tell you. Well, there you go. There's your pitch.
How about a Star Trek West Wing?
Yes, please.
I'm kind of done right now. Time out with Star Trek. Not any shows on the air right now.
We do have a lot of shows on there. That is a good point. But we're talking, 5-10 years. Like, we can refill the Star Trek shows.
It's like the history of the Egyptian pharaohs, like the 18th dynasty, 1500 years of Star Trek.
You need with your pinky out.
I just read the most wonderful book. Has anybody ever read the Egyptologist by Arthur Phillips?
No.
I have to say no.
Such a good novel.
Is it fiction or what is it? Oh, okay.
It's a novel about I don't want to give too much away, about a gentleman who believes that he can prove that an obscure supposedly mythological Egyptian pharaoh, Egyptian king actually, existed, and he goes off to find the tomb. But he himself is perhaps a bit of a fabulist, and misadventures ensue. It's beautifully written book. He also wrote a great book called Prague. Wonderful writer, Arthur Phillips.
Well, why don't we save that for the Dr. Flock's book club hour? Because what I want you to talk about this go round is what is occupying so much of your life these days. Your good works out there that I know.
Yes, I am the president of the board of an organization called the Hollywood Food Coalition, which has been around for about 33 years. And our mission is to try and address food insecurity in Los Angeles, and by extension to model ways that other communities can address food insecurity. So we do a number of different things. For many, many years, we have provided a hot 5-course meal to all comers 7 nights a week, largely taking care of people who are experiencing homelessness. We serve a 5-course now, sadly, to-go meal. And we also provide an array of other services, which, again, in the COVID world, unfortunately, are a little bit more circumscribed. But at our peak, we hand out shoes and tents and sleeping bags and clothing and bus passes and laundry vouchers, and we try and hook people up to other social service organizations. And additionally, I'm getting pretty good at this elevator pitch.
You are.
It befits the president.
Or it's a turbo lift pitch here, I guess.
Turbo lift. Well, yeah, it's a long L. It's a big building. The other thing we started doing is that because we now rescue so much food, we have started sharing the food that we ourselves cannot use in our kitchen with between 20 and 40 other not-for-profits and community groups. So our food goes out to help other programs. We work with organizations that take care of people who are experiencing youth homelessness. We take care of people who are living in alcohol and drug rehabilitation facilities, women's shelters, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we're hoping to expand that capacity as we grow. So that's a lot of what I do. And we have one last thing that's kind of an adjunct that is really cool. We collaborate with an organization called Hang Out Do Good, Hodge. 650 participating families make beautiful sack lunches every Sunday. 7 elements in a sack lunch, great sandwiches and chips and cookies and sodas and what have you. They are all delivered in a caravan to our home base, where they are sorted by category and distributed to 29 community groups who fan out all over the city and spread them out to people who are living in homeless encampments. So we share about 5,000 sack lunches every Sunday. And that's a program my wife runs.
That's you guys. Now, here's the thing. We've got people all over the world watching us right now, and this is LA based, and you're serving the LA community. And of course, and we've got some contacts coming up here. People can see how to get a hold. Is that, I mean, I guess you're speaking like wherever you live. I mean, I guess you could take a donation from wherever.
Yes,
but it's you know, globally, it's an issue that needs addressing too.
Absolutely. We could take a donation, of course, and that would be lovely. And thank you for supporting us. But, you know, the bigger picture, COVID is doing some obviously dreadful things in the world. But one of the things that is also doing it is knocking people who have spent generations climbing up rungs on a ladder to get to the point where they could at least count on being able to feed their families, knocking them down a rung all over the world. Global hunger is increasing at an extraordinary clip. It's not, I think, going to be quite as fully recognized for another year, but we are in for very, very dark times ahead. And here in America, even before COVID, approximately 1 in 6, arguably 1 in 5 children is food insecure, which doesn't mean they necessarily go hungry, but it means that they don't have access to good food. They're not sure that they're going to eat that day. They're not going to be able to eat enough that day. They might live in a food desert. The quality of the food is in question in the richest country in the world. So there is a way for you to get involved in your community. I know there is, because there are a lot of people out there who give a damn about this. And I'd happily entertain any questions that people might have about how to do it. But I would say first, start and see what's out there, and find some like-minded souls and see if you can pitch in. And it's only one cause. I mean, I'm a great believer that, you know, everybody should figure out what it is in their community that might need doing and do it, because we're not going to get a lot of help from the federal government for a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
But listen, we are here at the top of the hour. We've got some more folks we're going to meander over to and see. But I'm so glad. I didn't mean for you to put yourself out to such a physical extent there.
No. This is silly.
I
was going for a walk. I was not even a walk. It was a stroll. It was an amble. I just happened to step in a hole. And
we understand.
John, I must request that you send yourself directly to sickbay, okay? Get that checked out. Get that taken care of.
I will.
Physician, heal thyself.
I will indeed. I'm going to have one of those green beverages that you.
I'll just
yes,
sit. I'll just.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you so much for joining us, John. So great to meet you, and so amazing to hear about all of this incredible work that you're doing. Folks, take a look at the screen, and you can take a screen grab. We'll have all of his links and everything that he mentioned with these organizations will be up on the screen in just a minute.
Cool.
Thank you,
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck with the project.
Mr. Anderson, why? Why, Mr. Anderson, why? Why, Mr. Anderson? Why, Mr. Anderson? Why, Mr. Anderson? Why, Mr. Anderson? Mr. Anderson?
Nice.
We made it back in one piece.
I never thought I'd be at a party so big that beaming across the room would be, productive. But here we are.
Yep. My drink seems to have gotten scrambled in the transporter, though.
Oh no! Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about mine, but yes.
Yours is your green is holding up to your green screen. I'm jealous because mine is not. Kind of wild.
It's replicating.
Yes.
Well, wow,
okay.
this has been some party.
Yeah, this is amazing. John Billingsley and Dan Curry and just everybody that we've gotten to talk to so far have been so inspiring and lovely. Trekkies are awesome.
They are, and up and down, whatever niche, whatever anybody is doing, and it's, if nothing else, and maybe even a tiny silver lining of the pandemic has meant that it's been people are finding ways to do it themselves, and if it's out of a Zoom box, so much the better, or whatever. Out of a YouTube box, whatever, out of an audio speaker, whatever. But speaking of which, that's who we've got on deck next for this next hour. But we've got a whole hour of folks.
Before we go to them, let's do our top of the hour reminders. So if you're on the Twitter or the Instagram or wherever else on
the totters, the top of the hour reminders, yes,
the teetotalers, you can use the hashtag Starfleet Cocktail Party. Show us what you're drinking, whether it's synthahol or actual alcohol or juice. I'm just drinking this is ginger beer with green dye in it.
John got it out of me. He made me say it's 7-Up and green dye.
Revealed your secret. But tweet us, Instagram us at Improvised GEN. Reminder that the reason why we're here is to celebrate that we're doing our improv show on Twitch, and it's a Star Trek improv show. We've done it for 5 years in Los Angeles, and now we're bringing it to the world.
Live awesome.
In Los Angeles, and we're bringing it live to the world on Twitch. So October 10th is when we start right here, Outpost 13, twitch.tv/Outpost 13. So come back and join us in a couple weeks for the show. And in the meantime, let's continue the party.
Yes, let's do the party. And you see the hashtag, you see all the socials, all the channels. That's how you keep up with Improvised Generation and everything on Outpost 13, which is a fairly new channel that's going on here and hosting us today. And all of my stuff is up there too. And all of the stuff you're going to learn more here. We're going to open the door here to let's wander over here. We've got a bunch of podcasters around.
Yes, I see a corner over there. Okay.
Yeah, let's go.
Hey,
Boom.
Look at all these podcasters.
Hey, I don't lie. We corralled. You need a corral for this many.
Yes. Let's do a quick round robin.
Yes.
Tell us your name and what your podcast, plural, some of you have plural. Tell us about your podcast, or just tell us the name of your podcast.
A log line in the title and where it is. Erin, let's start with you.
Okay. I am actually on Outpost 13 right here on Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. and it's Infinite Trek. And it's all things Star Trek, but right now we're doing Lower Decks.
Jesse.
So I have a podcast that actually is about Farscape, funnily enough. That's called What the Frell, where we watch Farscape. But the main Trek thing I do is actually not a podcast. It's a YouTube channel called Jesse Gender, where I basically rant about how Star Trek and other pop culture stuff meets politics, social issues, and a lot of LGBTQ trans stuff, because I like to rant about gender theory, because why the heck not?
Yes.
Hey, Kennedy.
Hi, what's up? It's your girl Kennedy, also known as that Mikey chick, better known as the Storm Tribble, coming to you live from the 215 till the day I die. What's up, guys? You can find me on Black Tribbles, you can find me on Women at Warp, and you can find me on the newly minted Away Team. All of them podcasts, all of them everywhere out here.
Oh, okay. What's the Away Team, real quick?
The Away Team is the exploration of Gene Roddenberry's cosmic African diaspora, explained by two temporal officers in Starfleet.
Oh,
amazing.
All right.
Wow.
And who's that guy on the end? Oh, Sirach, man. Glad you dropped by. I hope you hit did you hit the bar?
Yeah, I hit the bar up. I heard cocktail party, so thanks for inviting me, guys.
Nice.
Great mug.
I'm just drinking a Rock the Gino, though. Nothing big, nothing too big.
Lovely.
My name's Sirach Lofton. I'm one of the hosts of the Seventh Rule podcast. We started with Aaron Eisenberg about almost 2 years now. And it's me, Ryan Husk, and a lot of guests. And it's been a real fun journey reviewing Star Trek. We're doing Deep Space Nine. We do Discovery. We do Picard. And we also are doing the Lower Deck. So we cover the bases. And it's been a real introduction for me as far as watching, because I wasn't really a Star Trek viewer. And so now I'm on the other side and I'm enjoying myself getting immersed in the universe.
If you've only found us during the Picard days or Lower Decks, you might want to know that Sirach wonderfully portrayed Jake Sisko that we watched growing up over the 7 years of DS9 too. So
Deep Space Nine.
On Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, got Deep Space Nine love. And, love for all the fans and everybody involved with the whole universe. Everybody's doing their thing. There's so much conversation and topics to cover. There's so many ideas out there that are floating, and just makes it rich with conversation, with topics, and allows friendships to merge. And also, Kennedy, I wanted to say, you said 215. That's Philadelphia?
It is.
See, I know my area code. I just wanted to show.
How about, can we pause for a second? 10-year-old Kennedy just freak out that you said my name, bro. Like, I can't even hold you. My heart dropped 3 floors. I don't know where it's at. I guess I'll have to go find it. I'll be back.
Oh,
that's awesome.
Very humbling.
It's a party. What do we say? What do we say?
Right?
It is a party.
Cheers.
Drink up. Cheers.
Well, Sirach kind of started this off. Here's the thing, just to go around the room again, that because podcasting is one of those things we've already alliterated here to it, that it's equal opportunity. Everybody has a different interest, a different slant on Star Trek and intersecting with something. Why don't we just go around and say, what is it you, kind of in that same vein that Sirach was just saying, what is it you enjoy most about doing this?
I think what I really love doing about it is just diving into some specific thing and chatting with somebody else who is just as obsessed with you are as about like a spaceship or whatever it is, and just finding that connection with another person and being able to share that with other people. It's like having it's like a real cocktail party where you just find that person and you sit in the corner with them, and it's like you've talked with them for your entire life, but it's just sort of this conversation that you can have either with your co-host or somebody in the audience. I love that.
Yeah.
It's I want to actually jump in and say, Erin, you also did another podcast about the animated series, and then you wrote a book about the animated series.
And then it's
yes,
chilling behind him, like happens to be there.
I have to say, I even have wait.
Insert book flyby right here. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, see, I knew this was going to be a background flex. Oh, look at that!
Hey. See my pants there, but
mine is on camera every week behind me on Tuesday Live.
I have both of your books, Larry and Aaron. Both of your books are in the other room right now. I failed.
Nice.
I should have had them right here.
You're on a holodeck. Just conjure it up.
Mine is set up for when I'm actually on the podcast. That's why the book's back there. Normally.
Yeah, I was gonna do that if you were gonna be too humble and not bring that up. So yay, Aaron. Jesse, what is it? What is it about you? How did you find yourself to the YouTuber/podcast world and putting yourself out there? And what do you enjoy?
Well, I love doing it because I'm just someone who thinks about this stuff all the time. So I love just ranting about it to myself. So YouTube and podcasting was just, if I was
I'm sorry, this is such an alien concept with this great.
I just be in a room like Star Trek is talking about all these things. So it started off as just a way to express myself and just be like, let me just try and put it out there in the world. And then kind of jumping off of what Erin said, I was just shocked and surprised that like the things that I randomly spilled out of my brain pan and try to put in some cogent way actually connected with other people and made people feel like they got a chance to see something a different way, look at something a different way. And then those people who saw what I was making made me think about Star Trek and what I was thinking about in a different way. And it's what I love about Star Trek the most is not necessarily the shows, but the conversations that the show enables between all of us and allows us to just understand ourselves better. So that's really, really why I love just doing anything like YouTube podcasting that just creates conversation about our favorite shows.
And what's amazing, it's like a foreign country. We've all got this. We're all in different places. We're all doing different things and hobbies and careers, but it's this common language. And like Erin said, you could sit down at a party or at a con or whatever, or right now, and start a conversation. And after 5 seconds, you're all grounded and everybody knows what everybody's talking about, even though they go off in different directions. It all weaves back. Yeah.
You get like science nerds, you get book nerds, you get out. As long as someone's some level of nerd, you're in the Star Trek community, I'm sure.
it's pretty much there. How about you, Kennedy?
So I originally got into podcasting 10 years ago at this point. Holy cats. And while Black Tribbles is very Trek in name, we do in fact cover all of geek culture through the lens of the Black perspective, primarily because as nerds, all 8 of us in the group at this point, whether it's comics or movies or gaming or anime or whatever, or Trek in my case, we all felt that our representation in the podcasting world was lacking, if there at all. So we wanted to have an opportunity to facilitate spaces where people with similar experiences could share that camaraderie. Like Jesse was saying, the whole point of this, gift that keeps giving of a franchise is that there's something for everybody. So in that realm, we covered everything from a more general aspect, but my work with Women at Warp and Away Team is a lot more focused. So I get to talk about the womanist aspect of Trek. I get to talk about, the Ciscos and how Deep Space Nine is arguably the blackest show in science fiction, period. I'll die on this hill, fight me. You know what I mean? And it's just been, no, just anyone who says it. Not you, Larry, you're a doll. I just mean,
No, I said who would, no, I just meant who would not say that. I'm just,
You'd be surprised. I have gotten into that
People
fight
don't know.
before.
Yeah.
Right.
People don't realize. Yeah. DS9 was groundbreaking.
Yeah, for real. So it's been able to not only curate the content that you want, but also spark joy in other people and create that camaraderie with other people too. The best thing about podcasting, easily hands down so far, beyond meeting all the stars and whatnot, has been grown people coming up to me and being like, oh my God, I was a Trekker my whole life. I was bullied in school. I never wanted to wear anything Trek related because I didn't want to get made fun of. And then I found you in some capacity, and now I wear a comm badge to work every day. And I'm like, oh, eyeballs are sweating. It's hot. Best part. Best part.
Absolutely.
It is. Sirach, you weren't exactly a convert. Now, you mentioned this. We've gone full circle. You kind of had to be like, really, man? I'm going to spend an hour or two doing this thing every week. But I mean, like, what's been the revelation? You kind of touched on it a minute ago, but I just wanted to hone in on that.
Yeah. And I have a question too. Can you tell us, like, what are some moments that you've been like, oh, wow, watching this show for the first time, really, and then talking about it? Are you like, whoa, I didn't remember that happened? And has that like uncovered some memories for you?
Yes. A lot of memories, because a lot of the stuff was before I actually fully matured and I had an adult perspective on things.
You were a kid.
Yeah, so getting to look back, I get to revisit so many things. I actually get to see things from a different lens, because the people that I knew as friends or on a personal level as a working relationship, now I actually see the body of their work and the messages in the content and the material. So I look at it all differently. But for me, one of the biggest impacts and the things that makes it so special is a little bit of what everybody's saying here, and that is how it affects people, and that kind of energy gets reciprocated back to you. I get to meet fans all the time that tell me how their personal story was affected by Star Trek or was able to be related to in Star Trek. So there's so much there for all different people in the spectrum. And I also want to highlight on the idea of nerds. That's one thing that I can identify with people is because I felt like I was categorized as a nerd growing up. And one thing that I think is extremely special about Star Trek and sci-fi in general is the nerds have made it cool to be a nerd. They've actually embraced the idea of being a geek or a nerd or are smart about some kind of subject or topic and made it cool. And that's what's really special about the growth and evolution of this. We've taken something that was marginalized and something that was put to the side, and now we've made it something that's inclusive, that everybody can be a part of. And it's no longer something that has a negative connotation, but something that has a positive connotation. So I just want to, highlight that. That's one thing that I enjoy about embracing my inner nerd. And that's one of the things that I enjoy about meeting other nerds who are happy to talk, have these discussions, and talk about very intellectual topics that just really cut to the heart of who we are as people and how we can work together better and understand each other better as people.
Word. Nice. Well, I want to bridge us into a topic that I believe every single one of you is covering on your podcast in some way, and that is lower decks.
Let's go.
Yes. So let's go back around the room and everyone just give me like your top moment so far in lower decks.
Oh gosh.
I'll go first.
Yes.
Because,
Jump.
I said this before we went live. I saw Beckett Mariner for the first time and was like, holy cats. This is my great grandniece. Obviously, this is my child. She comes from me in some capacity. And at first I thought that was hubris. Like, cool out, Kennedy. It's not that deep. But then I've asked friends and they were like, I didn't want to say it, but and I was like, what? So after being a lifelong fan of Trek, just being completely submerged in the culture, never really seeing myself, right? Especially not in a powerful role. We've been in the auxiliary, definitely Black people in the backgrounds, definitely Black women in the forefront. Shout out to Nichelle Nichols and Uhura for that. Guinan, and, but never in the capacity where it's like, hey, I really enjoy the heck out of this job. I look great in this uniform. I'm gonna have fun with this and be subversive in a really oddly supportive way. Because I'm really a big fan of like team environments like that. That whole ship captain crew thing is really appealing to me. So seeing Beckett Mariner for the first time was like, yo, let's go. Whatever we got, let's get it. Oh, and in the beginning, the title sequence when they roll up on the Romulans who have engaged the Borg. And they were like, oh snap, what's going on? And they got fired at one time. They were like, bye! Just dipped. I was like, let's go. I went on that ship.
Not our fight.
Well, where do I sign up? What do you
I'm
mean?
sorry. We're over here, guys. You guys take that. We'll run with it.
Oh, y'all got this. Y'all got this.
Y'all got
We
this.
good.
Yeah.
Y'all got this.
Sorry. Yeah. Nobody hung a sock on the door. What happened? There's no tie on the door.
Sorry.
We're out of
Romulans.
here. Yeah.
They're Romulans. They got it. You guys got it, right? You got this. Bye.
Love it.
Just straight up nope out of the situation.
Yeah.
Lower decks, guys. Come on. We're going to be
I think for me, given that,
oh,
sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, you go. You go.
Okay. Given that I'm such an animated series fan, like I love the fact that they didn't ignore the original or just kind of pretend it didn't happen. They've really embraced it. And that scene that the first time that we saw the Vendorian, where the shapeshifter just appears and then disappears, and the fact that they took the original design, they actually replicated how he transformed, which was just like paint behind a stencil essentially. So it was all the cheesiness of the 70s stuff, but brought into this modern day look. And I think for that was just like, I kind of fell in love with just the people behind the show at that point.
Yeah. And then, and then the Adosian.
Yes.
A couple weeks ago, last week. Yeah.
No, it was great. And for the introduction, I love the fact that they kind of shave the a little bit of ice, which is very much like Voyager, but then just sort of like, nope, we're just going to knock into it.
Complete system failure.
And then it just kind of like drifts down. Yeah, exactly.
To give like, or I'm sorry.
Nope. I'm done.
To give like the joke answer and the serious answer. So the joke answer is like the dog in Lower Decks. I want that dog in my life. I want a floating, talking, sweet, kind dog like that can turn into a weird cube and just go around the corner. I adore it so much. But the serious answer, and it kind of gets into like why I love this sort of era of Trek in general for me specifically, is like I just seeing the characters on Lower Decks, kind of reflecting what Kennedy was saying, is just that it feels like a lot of us that get to be in this show. Like not all of us are going to be Picard or Riker or all of these like higher upper echelon people. We get to see the ensigns, the people on the lower decks. We get to feel like, oh, I would be that hyper competent nerd that just wants to spend hours just wanting to increase the transporter a hair of a second faster. and just like extending it even further. Like, it's why I'm so pumped for Discovery season 3, because it's like get to see like trans and non-binary characters in this next season that they announced. Like, I literally cried when I saw that news and then that trailer that they appeared in, even for like the hottest of seconds. So what I just am loving, I mean, about all of Star Trek has done this, but especially right now for me specifically, is like, it feels like who I am is being really, really reflected in Star Trek. And it just, it honestly warmed my heart and just makes me so excited.
Yeah. Well, I too have kind of a double prone approach to how I look at Lower Decks. One of them I think is in alignment to Kennedy's answer. I like to see Black family, and this show is now bringing Black family into the animated series. So that off top won me over. I was like, okay, I can buy that. I like the mother's character, and obviously I like what she's doing, what Mariner's doing. But also what I think is really special about this and what makes it different for me is that it's comedy. So we're now, we take all these serious things, and when we go to conventions and we talk and we meet, we usually tell these same kind of jokes that they're telling now on Lower Decks. I've gone on many a tangent talking to people, making up names for different Star Treks possibly, or whatever it is that we talk about. And the comedy aspect really is pleasant, and it's fun to watch because it takes so much of the pressure off. It takes so much of the science off, where photons and this and that, and how many tachyon lights,
but
or
it's there.
whatever.
It's there too.
It is
Yeah,
there. Yeah,
it's there, but it's not the focal point, right? It's not like the thing that's going to solve the problem. It's more about the relationship between right.
Yeah.
So I enjoy the comedy aspect of it, even though as I would consider myself a layman because I don't have all the Star Trek references that you guys do when you talk about this stuff. It's like boom, 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 boom. All the aliens and all the episodes, and I don't have that. But I can still find entertainment from my level of knowledge within watching the show. So that's one of the things that I think they're doing a very good job at, is allowing the novice to still have some entertainment, while also giving the old school Trek nerds all the little tidbits and all the little golden nuggets that make you say, oh yeah, that was from that was from that, that's that. So I enjoy the way they're doing both.
Well, I never thought I'd be in the position of propping up Sirach Lofton on Star Trek self-confidence, but I think you'd be amazed, or maybe not amazed, to think that there's a lot more of Star Trek fans out there that are in the same position you are, Sirach, that feel a little intimidated. But anyway, guys, listen, this has been amazing. We actually corralled this many people into one corner of the party here, which has been awesome. I think, but it's been great. We've got everybody's stuff following up here. So if you're watching us and you want to follow anybody here, catch out their show, whatever it is, just do a screen grab off this next, do a frame shot off of it. And thank you guys so much for being.
You're welcome. Wait, before I go.
Yeah.
Sirach, my mother's been texting me, and I can't not say this. Wants me to tell you that she's very proud of you. And I, she won't stop texting me unless I say it. So there it is.
Oh, that's so
okay.
sweet.
Tell her I said thank you very much, and also I tell her I said I can see what a great job of parenting she did by looking at you and talking with you. So
hey,
send my love back to her.
Hey, I'm gonna leave that last part out, but hey.
Oh, this is so sweet.
Thank you guys.
Thank you
really
guys so much.
Yes.
We're gonna wander somewhere else in the party, but keep with your drinks and your chilling. Thank you for joining us.
Yes. And we will see you all down the pike out there in the great interwebs, guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're fading out.
Oh my God, this party just does not stop. I have yanked the host hat off of my dear Aliza here because we're going to meet some of the rest of the Improvised Generation cast that you maybe, if you were with us earlier, you saw some of the show. We've got more of the folks here, and Aliza is in the cast as the incredible Captain Thompson. So I want to get around the room. Everybody zoom around the room. Tell me a name, preferably yours, and your character's name and role, because you know this is Star Trek. If you say that role name title, then we'll instantly know what you do, apart from what, and then you know, like a bit about the character, just a log, you know, the sketch of the character. What's up?
Great, I can go. My name is Sarah Mountjoy-Pefka. Hi, Larry.
Hey.
I just saw you.
I know. But it's good to have you out on this side of the wall.
It is. I've been on the producing side of all this, and it's nice to be broadcasting right now. So I play Chief of Engineering, Lieutenant Janie Boots, and Janie Boots is a chaotic woman who obeys her own rules and has a perfectionist according to her own taste. She likes to be continuously improving the ship, even though she does not always get permission for it.
I think that's a very
yes.
astute description.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I'm also co-director of the show with Aliza and with Paul.
Yes. Go, Matt.
I'll go next just because I'm married to Janie's character on the show. I am Lieutenant Frost Clan. Yeah. Lieutenant Frost Clan. I'm head of security. I'm half human, half Bajoran. He's got a little chip on his shoulder. We don't know if there's any connection to the Maquis. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Kind of discovering those things. He likes to get in on the action. Loves his wife, and yeah.
He's often leaving his wife though, just going off on adventures, and it does not make his wife happy.
In Star Trek, how bad? And we should clarify for everybody before we talk about the show at large. We're kind of perpetually in the next gen era, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
we're kind of playing a TV sitcom where the kids are always the same age, kind of a thing here.
That's right.
There's a little bit of progression. There's obviously arcs are advancing, but that's the era. Yeah.
Well, we've been doing this for 5 years, right? So it's like
six seasons in 5 years.
It's still 2369 or it's still 2370 or something or whatever.
Well, if we're talking about security, let's go ahead and stay in security.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go next. My name is Hector, and I play a character named Lieutenant Herg with 3 U's. The fun thing is I'm not at all part human. My character is a Cation, which in case anybody's watching and doesn't know what that is a feline humanoid character.
Mm-hmm.
There was an animated Cation in Star Trek, the animated series way back in the early 70s. Mress was the character's name, and I'm bringing the Cations back. We get a new Cation in the new show, Star Trek Lower Decks. They have an animated Cation doctor, which is super fun. So I'm a cat.
I think Dr. Tana, I think they copied you, Hector. Yeah, I think they just.
Yeah, totally, absolutely, yeah. So my character is in security and is new to the ship, and it's been a blast getting to play with everybody because everybody's so brilliant and so funny and so nice. So yeah, I'm honored.
I'm excited to play with you, Hector. We have yet to play with each other. We got to do some security scenes.
Oh, man, you gotta do a security.
Clink. Yeah.
Well, speaking of people getting injured from security, if someone gets injured, they can come and see me, Nurse Mara Culverson. So I'm Laurie Jones, and I play Mara, who is a half Klingon, half human nurse. So she very passionately takes care of you. Yes, sometimes angrily, insisting on your care.
I almost didn't recognize you without the bumps, but I knew it was you.
I think you need to tell the folks at home where Nurse Culverson grew up, what her lifestyle was.
Yeah, so I mean, she grew up in South Carolina, and it was really tough, as a Klingon in South Carolina. So, and I may or may not have done that because I just cannot get rid of my accent, but we'll never know. I won't tell you. It could be motivated by something else.
First Klingon to go through cotillion, I think is the best way to put it.
Exactly.
Have we done that? Have we ever improvised that flashback scene?
No,
I don't think so. But maybe there's time.
Oh boy. We gotta. And I am.
I was
Aliza
going to
Pearl.
say.
I
Speaking of
play-
that, Captain, you should order that sometime. Do that.
Yes,
scene.
I think I'm going to order that holodeck scene as a flashback. I'm Captain Georgia Thompson. I'm human, fully human, but I was raised for the first 7 years of my life on Hawaii, the Hawaiian Islands, on Earth, and then the from ages 7 to 14 on Konosh. Because my parents are Klingon, they're Starfleet Federation ambassadors to the Klingon Empire. And so I have a lot of both Hawaiian and Klingon influence, if you can imagine that in a person.
That's a whiplash.
Captain Georgia Thompson.
Yeah.
She's really
Yeah,
good
a
with
little
a
bit.
batleth. Really good with Dan
Really good
Curry's
with a
batleth.
batleth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Aloha. Kapla.
Also, can hula, can make you mean Mai Tai, can probably surf. I don't think we've explored any of this stuff except the batleth, but maybe
You should
future
have.
episodes.
If we ever do this again, you should host as Captain Thompson and then you whip up Mai Tais for everybody.
Yes.
Right through the
Yes.
screen. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I like this idea.
I want to see a flashback episode. I don't know if Captain Thompson and Nurse Culverson are around the same age or not, but I want to see a flashback episode where Culverson's class goes on a trip to Hawaii and it's both of you young.
I would love that. I would love to do that episode.
Oh
You
my
need to-
goodness.
You need to do a flashback season. Just have the whole season be flashbacks of
We
everybody.
could do the Rascals episode of TNG. We're all kids.
You know,
Oh
so much of this run this fall is about experimenting. That's one of our goals doing this. So I think, in previous years we would go, that's not in genre. Because but we are trying to do some experimentation because the pandemic has made us all adapt and experiment. So this is entirely on the radar of
And in a-
Or strange new Zoom calls.
And in a good way, I would think, if anything else, Lower Decks has opened up also what's within the realm of, the vibe and tone that you can get away with and use to explore. I mean, you haven't. Where so.
It's
go ahead.
true, though we are, we've said from the beginning that we aim to not be a parody. We aim to start out the show as realistically and authentically as possible. And then what happens in improv is things go wrong. And so we often don't end that way. But we have had shows that have felt, completely dead serious, like a good TNG episode. So although Lower Decks has cracked open its thing, I do still think a huge part of our goal is to stick to the genre and deliver it.
Right.
But if anybody legal is listening, we are a parody. We're definitely a parody.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
I was just going to say, Lower Decks has its serious streak too that's embedded in the comedy too. But I just meant that as a liberating effect on what you all.
Yeah, totally.
Yes.
And we also, like, the improvised generation is called the improvised generation for a reason. It's not just improvised Star Trek, it's improvised TNG style Star Trek.
Mhm.
So that's why, like, when Sarah says we tried to like stay in that box for a long time and now we're breaking it open, it was because we were like, we're not doing TOS, we're not doing improvised Enterprise, improvised Voyager, we're doing TNG, which is a crazy specific niche, but that's what we chose to do our show as.
And you do it very well. So I still think we've got a lot of folks who are watching now who have no exposure to the improvised generation. And my first reaction 5 years ago was, okay, it's improv, but you've got running characters and you have a canon of your own background. So how does that square? And I mean, I can tell it now, but why don't you jump in? For those who are trying to figure out because I thought improv was a bunch of people and you threw out a word and then you all invented something. And how do how does that work?
Laurie or Matt, you two want to answer that? You've been around since the beginning.
I have spoken up. I would love for Laurie to talk.
I'm happy to answer the question. This was so fun because yes, we had a starting point, but it was just a starting point. And so we knew the backgrounds of our characters to an extent. But once we get on the stage, once we started episode 1, everything was open. So if something was said, that became our canon, but it became canon in an improvised way. So we were endowed. We use the word endow in improv, which is like you're given a gift of like this. Here you go. Now you're a great roller skater, and maybe Matt didn't plan for that to happen, but now he is. So he has to say yes to that, and now that's a part of his character. And so I would say half of our character backgrounds Like we had something to start with. I knew I was a Klingon from South Carolina when I became that character. But, you know, outside of that, it's like, you don't know how things are going to evolve. I didn't know that I was going to be in relationships with both people in blue. I mean, I didn't know that. That just happened. And so I think like then the things that happened organically through improv were the more exciting things. So the things that we had never thought of. Mm-hmm. And that's why like that collaborative sort of creation is so awesome and so beautiful, because you really are doing it together and you cannot control what someone's going to tell you. It was your background and you may not have wanted that. And that is so exciting because you just have to say yes and make it a full, like well-rounded, grounded character.
Yeah.
I have a perfect example of that. I came up with the backstory for my character, and we just did a rehearsal, and someone endowed me, our friend Lissette endowed me with, Herg is a huge fan of Elvis Presley. And I went, all right, great. I guess that's my backstory now. Is my character is a huge fan of Earth musician Elvis Presley. Great.
Because Cations are open to that kind of thing. Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
Well, it's improv. It's exciting. I'm just amazed to tackle the challenge of bringing in a live improv show, which has its own challenges and rewards, into the virtual box. And again, the new season is starting the 10th. Guys, I have some other people yelling at me from across the room that I have to go, and I'm going to drag Aliza out of here with me.
Oh, I also want to give a quick shout out to Arlo Sanders, who is a part of our cast. And you can not see him today on this.
He is here, though.
But he is here. He is our tech god today. He's running this whole...
He's our sanity check.
This whole event.
Yes.
So thank you, Arlo. And we're so excited to meet your character, Ensign O'Reilly, once we start our show on the 10th.
Because go
Can I do a quick shout out as well? I just want to thank Huge Improv Theater in Minneapolis. When I was young and up and coming improviser, they did this show, or not this one, a show that was Star Trek, and it really inspired me. And I learned a lot from Hannah Kuhlman, who is my director, that had the same sensibilities of bringing the real Star Trek to the improv stage. And then moving here and working with Sarah and Aliza and Paul Hungerford to create the show, I just love that about Star Trek. I feel like it's continually inspiring people to do greater work and be better people. And I just have to give my thanks out to the people that helped me to find this awesome fiction for us to live in.
Yeah.
And hopefully some of it will be a reality someday.
Well said. Well said. Well, you guys don't run off. Go over to the bar, have a few more. And I'm being called right now. So it's so awesome to see you guys. We're so excited for the October 10th, the resumed 6th season, the virtual season of the Improvised Generation.
Thank you.
Here's to the McGinley.
Thank you, Larry.
Yes.
Cheers.
Whoa.
Wow.
Aliza, this party is not dead yet. It's very, very much alive. Did you see that? Maybe I should put this down.
Once you start sloshing, you know it's a good party.
That green dye 7-Up just gets to you after a little bit. No, this is such an awesome time. I feel like maybe I should go and let, please step forward here because we've got an awesome Ladies of Trek. We have a little bit of a history too.
Yes,
why don't you do the introduction? Do us the honors. Yes.
Yes.
We've been enjoying the green room.
An exciting panel for all of us and for me because I have like personal connections to all of you too, which is very exciting. But this is our Women of Trek. We have the illustrious Mary Chieffo, who played Laurel on Discovery. We have the illustrious Chase Masterson, who played Lita on Deep Space Nine, and the illustrious Tamlin Tomita, who most recently played Commander O on Picard. Ladies, wow, this is like a powerhouse little section of the party because you all have played phenomenally interesting, complex, powerful, lovely, amazing to watch characters on Star Trek. And I'm so excited to like have you all together in a room and talk about your experiences. Backstage for a second, we were all talking about how it seems like everyone has like an LA, like from LA connection. So that's also an interesting aspect. But yeah, I guess just like, let's talk about this. Like you're all these like amazing women characters who have come to Star Trek also from different backgrounds. Tell me a little bit about your backgrounds too. So like, let's start there. I know there's strong theater connections here. So who all,
Yeah, go Mary.
I there's lots of things percolating, but I think, in answer to, my background and kind of something I talk about a lot is coming, from a very heavy theater background, very intense voice and speech, physical training. I was lucky enough to go to Juilliard for my BFA in drama, and that's a very rigorous physical and vocal program. And the gift of playing a Klingon on Star Trek is that I actually didn't have to tone that down too much. I actually had to take all of the skills that I had developed when it came to language and, again, physicalization, working in prosthetics. Obviously, they don't train you specifically for that at Juilliard, but it definitely, I don't think I could have made it through that process. I wouldn't have trusted my stamina. I like to believe that my stamina would have been there, but I say so much of that training is just learning, I can pull this out, even if I just got these lines, or, I had to cram in some Klingon the night before, whatever it is. And I'm just so grateful, too, that Klingons specifically are so expansive, as Aliza well knows, as a Klingon herself, in many different forms. That you kind of have to take yourself to 11 always. And with the prosthetics specifically, the amount of emoting that you have to do and the choices you make feel, so extreme, but I could just lean on that sort of, it's as if I was on stage, because that was the level of communication I needed to have, but still keep it authentic. Which for me, the recalibration in working in film was the eyes. And I talk about this a lot because it was like the one thing I still had that was mine, even though I had contacts. And so that to me was the shift of like really understanding how much they are this window into the soul. And for all those close-ups that I could really, a glance could tell so much. So it's all that theater plus then being able to just have one glance down and everyone be like, oh, what's she thinking? So that's how I'll kick us off.
Yeah, that also reminds me too that the three of you also, not only have you played these awesome women characters, you also all played alien characters.
Yes.
And so Chase, can you tell me about that experience of stepping into this character who is Bajoran and who has like this culture that has been like created on the show before you stepped into it? How was that for you?
And Chase, I don't know if I've ever asked you this. I want to know is obviously they created the role for a reason at the beginning, but at what point did they say, now we're going to do this for 5 years to the end of the series? Or at one point did you get the sense that, I'm doing good stuff here and it's something that they want to keep playing with in the mix?
Thank you for both of those questions. We never were really told where our arcs were going to go. And so they could have killed us off at any time. And that's just the way they rolled. And so, you know, another episode or another window into where this was going was always extremely encouraging. I thought my role was going to be 4 lines in 1 episode. And I'm so grateful that that it went on for the rest of the 5 years. So it was really exciting to be able to have all of that, just the gift that Star Trek is and the legacy that it is for so many reasons, for all that it means in the real world and all that it's meant to television, and television's impact on the real world is what I love so dearly about this show. More on that later, I hope. But one thing I really loved about Lita was her being a Bajoran and also a Dabo girl. So Bajorans being very centered and spiritual and deeply impacted by the war, and a group of people that were under siege, you know, as we can really understand that so many groups are today, even in our midst, especially in our midst. And then Lita being a Dabo girl and having the fun of that play in, and then Lita loving the guy that was only pretty on the inside, and getting to show through our storyline that you really truly can't judge a book by its cover, and that people and things are always more than they seem, deeper and more relatable when you see people and their situations with empathy, as Lita saw Rom. And just all of that, the fact that Lita was strong in so many ways, but also didn't wear her strength on her sleeve. I don't like saying her. I didn't wear my strength on my sleeve. It is so beautiful a way of showing the different types of strength that people can have. And sometimes it's a big, bold strength, and sometimes it's a quieter strength that just stands for the right things and makes brave choices.
There's a spine.
Yeah. So I was really grateful for the role in so many ways. And like Mary, I have a strong theater background, which helped prepare me for long days and commitment. My first professional job was a lead in Helena in A Midsummer Night's Dream when I was 18. So I'm grateful for the way that these things work together. There's always a lot of trained actors in Star Trek.
It demands it. And before Tamlin, we let you talk, I have to tell the world, we were just clarifying this. This is Tamlin's first Star Trek dedicated appearance since we've had no conventions and Picard only wrapped up. So another little bit of history.
Cheers. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you very much. Yes.
And remember, everybody, if you're watching, if you've got an account on Twitch, everybody's watching this, but you can do chat questions in the streaming chat, and
I will check.
Oh wow, fantastic!
We'll pluck some out. Yes,
okay,
if we have some.
Okay, great. It's a real joy to be here with all of you, having met Chase and Mary for the first time for this Zoom meeting, but knowing, and you too, Larry, but knowing Aliza and how. You know, the entire universe that we all are participants in are really comprised of 3 tribes: the geeks, the nerds, and the dorks. And I'm one of the dorks. I'm not one of the theater nerds in terms of trained acting, but I come from the film and TV world, and to be blessed at this, you know, point in my life with the pivotal role of Commodore O, and the other name that I'm not sure now if I'm allowed to release because of the ongoing debate whether or not I'm full Romulan or I'm full Vulcan, or am I half? And as an Asian American living in America these days, those are the kinds of questions that I, as well as many ethnic Americans, address in terms of our patriotism as Americans, but also our identities with the cultures that we come from, whether it's first generation, second generation, third, fourth, 14. And that is what I was able to bring to the character as much as I could with each episode, because echoing Chase and Mary, you didn't know where your arc was going to go to. So you just had to fully commit to what the particular episode that you know that you're going to perform in was for. So in all that, it's a great journey. It's about the strength of women. We know that the Star Trek universe is a template for what we're going for here as Earthlings, as human beings, a more equitable, a more equal society that doesn't see gender as levels, but we all equal amongst each other, that we're extremely competitive as well as comparable, that we're fierce despite our sex or gender, that we're warriors and that we will fight what's right. And knowing that I'm part Romulan, it is the debate whether or not, human qualities and or AI are on those equal terms. And that is another conversation as we go along. And, as long as we keep attention and focus on to what really unites us all and celebrate the differences is the way to go. And I'm just so proud to be the second to the last iteration of the Star Trek universe, because I know Lower Decks is the last one, but knowing that Picard was the second to last.
Let's say latest, not last.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you for correcting me. Absolutely.
Absolutely, because we've got a lot down there.
Yeah.
Well, listen, talking about you've worked in a lot of other franchises, but it's clear you know exactly what's going. Were you a Star Trek fan before you had the role? Did you know?
Yes, and this is where my dorkiness is, and I'm going to just to be a little bit revelatory in my age. I'm only a original Star Trek fan, so going on to Picard, I had to ask my love Daniel Blinkoff. I go, I know who Picard is, and I know Engage. But I don't know who one is. I don't, I know the actors. I know Geordi. I knew who Marina Sirtis is, being the empath, and that, and the continuing subsequent generations. But knowing that, the actors of those subsequent iterations of Star Trek, I had to say, wow, they're really expanding this universe. And yeah, so I'm an OST fan.
We this is so sad. The people out in the hall are kind of blinking the lights on the party. This is so raw to be trying to wrap things up here, just as it feels like we've just gotten things rolling. I know. It's like,
I'm also hearing that they're doing that thing where since we're their favorites in the bar, they're letting us kind of close down the bar.
Oh, good.
So they're putting the stools up on the spot.
Sure.
So we have time for a couple of things. There's a question from the chat.
Yes.
Amulin asks, Chase mentioned playing Helena in Midsummer Night's Dream. I would love to hear more about all of their experiences with Shakespeare.
Ooh.
Yes.
Well, I love Shakespeare. It's actually in like my Twitter handle and my Shakespeare lover.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's something that it is also a core focus in the Juilliard training. We have Shakespeare every year in some capacity, and where you're performing it, working on it in class and stuff. But I really started falling in love with it in the latter half of my training, and then afterwards, I ended up being cast as a lot of male Shakespeare roles. I played the second half of King Lear in a rehearsal production. And this is a fun fact for Trekkies, because Mary Wiseman was in my class at Juilliard, who plays Tilly on Discovery, and her now husband, Noah Averback-Katz, was in our class as well. And he played the first half of Lear to my second half of Lear in our second year rehearsal project. So that's just a lot of fun stuff. Lots of fun facts about working with Mary in general, but that's just a Shakespeare tidbit. And then I ended up playing, I'm not in a theater, even though I have these curtains. I got to play the title role in Macbeth in an all-female production. That was my fourth year show. And then I ended up playing Iago in an all-female production right after I graduated. And I've actually written an adaptation that I've produced in VR with Juvie Productions, Viola Davis and Julius Tennan's production company. We've done a proof of concept pilot where I'm actually playing Iago as a woman, as a modern woman. And unfortunately, because it's VR, it's not something I'd be like, and click this link. But it is something we are continuing to develop and hope, post-pandemic time, it's something that we would love to do a full-fledged production of in some capacity. But I really love taking Shakespeare and reframing it in a way that still augments the themes that Shakespeare was trying to say. And we have our production not only is in VR, but it's color and gender conscious as opposed to blind. So with each casting choice, we are looking at in a modern world, how the systemic racism is infectious and innate and vicious, and not just a black and white scenario. We're trying to address it of our times, and obviously talking to, to me, it's about letting the actors playing the roles communicate their full selves and not feel like they're having to ascribe to this ancient, this Shakespeare way of doing it. It's like, how do we modernize it? How do we make it accessible and as an educational tool? I'm going to stop talking because I could talk about this for a long time, but that's a little flavor of what I want to do with Shakespeare and why I believe it's something that we should keep coming back to in new and innovative ways.
I remember you talking about your pet the first time we met at yes, with John Billingsley, Jeff Phoenix's congressional.
Oh yeah,
and you were talking about your pet project was this. So yeah.
Wonderful. I would just say, if I can, and I know we need to keep this short, so I'll make it quick.
No,
I think
good.
One of the reasons that Shakespeare is so relevant and tied in with Star Trek so often, that they use a lot of actors that are trained in this way, are the demands of the hours and the language, and a lot of what Mary said, all of what Mary said, that was wonderful. Also, I see a tie-in as the stories that Shakespeare wrote are transcendent. They obviously go past any barriers of time, culture, all of it. And when we see those issues, such as racial issues and gender issues and family issues and war and peace and comedic zaniness happening, back in his time, they're so relevant no matter what spin you put on the piece, on the particular piece you're doing. And I see that with Trek also. When I hear people saying that they're doing a rewatch of DS9 or as Tamlin said, with the original series being so close to all of our hearts still, these stories are transcendent. And I think that's because Roddenberry really hit on how important it is to examine the joy and the difficulties of being human, and how important it is for us to challenge ourselves and each other with these transcendent themes. I will go ahead and say, as it is 2020, I think it's extremely important for us to keep in mind that Star Trek has never meant to just be a television show, but it is really, truly a show that is meant to lead us to create a world where we can all live long and prosper. And how important is that? If we're going to love these stories, let's stand with them and do the things that they do. Let's be these heroes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And just to cap it off really short, I have no Shakespeare experience, so it's really easy for me to answer that. But on echoing what Mary's words are and Chase's words are, is that Star Trek is that utopia, or is that kind of universe building that we're all aspiring towards building. And in terms of where we are at 2020, is that we have a chance this coming November to go forward in that direction. And that's all I need to say. But it is that we have to be mindful and kindful about how we go about it. It's about dialogue. It's about exposure to different cultures, different ethnicities, and knowing that we're human beings here on Earth, or Earthlings. There are perhaps sentient beings out there that may need our intelligence, our knowledge, our empathy, and our compassion in order to build the bridges between us, where no person has gone before.
Yeah.
I love that, Tam.
And to build those bridges here in this world. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Tamlin. I want to throw it to Chase really quickly.
I did, yes.
Yes. Okay. We're of the same mind, Larry.
We are.
The same host mind. Chase, can you please tell us about your organization and what?
Oh, yes.
Especially in the era of COVID, what you've been up to.
Thank you. In the era of COVID, frankly, in the era of Trump, in the era of all of our challenges, what we need to do is have empathy for each other and for ourselves. And so in 2013, I founded Pop Culture Hero Coalition, which is the first organization to use TV, comics, and film to teach empathy and mental health over bullying, racism, misogyny, LGBTQI plus bullying, cyberbullying, and other forms of injustice. So we use stories that kids and adults love to teach real life heroism so that we can do the things that our favorite characters love, so that we know that these stories are written for reasons, and they're written because these themes are transcendent, and so let's make them happen in real life. We have programs in schools, Comic-Cons, and children's hospitals, and recently we've partnered with YMCA USA to provide mental health programs for children K through 6. And we work with psychologists who create all of our programs, pop culture fluent political psychologists. So it really is a wonderful mix of pop
The Geeks won, so it's easy to find now than it used to be.
Say it again?
I said the Geeks won, so that's easier to find than it used to be. Yeah.
Yes. Telling her at the earth.
Yeah.
So we do these programs, and I will just say shamelessly, we have done them through crowdsourced empathy, which is through Be Kind t-shirts. That's why I'm wearing this today. Mary so wonderfully supported us on, and it's just people buying a t-shirt and pitching in, and most of our team is volunteer. I've been volunteer since 2013. We just take care of our people that do the programs in schools, and it's working. It's a real honor to be working with YMCA nationally. So check us out if you'd like. We're at Superhero IRL on social media and popculturehero.org. And I'll just say this one other thing. During COVID, we did a mental health at home program because obviously we all need mental health support now. But what about, people that are really unhappy in their homes, like kids who are LGBTQIA and don't have support and used to live to go out to the center and now can't. So we created mental health at home during COVID, and it's on our website. And Aliza is one of our hosts who does videos for parents to help their kids through difficult times in their mental health. So thank you, Aliza, for your great work.
Thank you. It's such an honor to be a part of what you're doing. The organization is amazing. I'm just really glad to be able to be a part of it.
Thank you. I really think that Roddenberry would be doing real world work if he were here now. So it's an honor to be able to do it.
Chase, I don't know if it's sad or wonderful that I remember when you founded the group, and it's the anti-bullying. And it's like the longer the years have gone by, there are all these aspects and all this related the way you iterated it just then. On one hand, it's sad that we have more and more needs that we can see that can be interrelated. But on the other hand, to be stepping up and meeting the needs, but also calling it out, shouting it out. The society is just getting better about putting these things in focus and on frame, and that you've been able to expand on one hand. It'd be a lot simpler if everybody could just do Will Wheaton's "Don't Be a Dick." But apparently simplicity is lost on humanity at times. So,
maybe we should
bless you and thank the
some,
prophets for
major donor to just scoop up, buy up a bunch of Be Kind t-shirts and just drop them from helicopters across the US.
If we had been dropping treats or food ever since the 60s, or well, really since the 60s, if we had been dropping empathy instead of bombs, and if we could drop empathy toward each other, that's one thing. Bullies are only messed up people who are giving all they have to give. So we need to address this societally to help the victims and help people understand that it was never your fault. If you were bullied, it was never your fault. And to help bullies, to help them understand what's going on inside of them. It's not just don't bully, it's what's going on psychologically, that we've created this world that can be so unkind. And it's so important to take a closer look at everything. Sorry to go on about it, but
we have such a relatively small time that going on. Yeah, and I was a little premature there. Aliza was really great to talk him into letting us stay a little longer.
Shutting it down.
Well, I mean, on that note, we probably should wrap up just because we said we would end at 6 and take up more of your time. But thank you all so much, so much. You all three are such an inspiration to me in your very unique ways. And your presence here has been so lovely, and everything you've said is amazing. So thank you for being awesome people.
It
Oh,
is.
thank
It
you.
is. Yes.
And
Very-
thank you both so much. I know you've been doing this all day and been preparing for this. So I would like, on behalf of everyone who has come in and out, just say
Oh.
thank you, or as we'd say in Klingon, katlo. Thank you. Right? But truly, I know that
welcome, Talon, to the Star Trek universe.
I was-
Wonderful to
Yes.
have you here, and I can't wait to see more.
No, and it's a joy to be amongst you guys here in this breakout room, but with all the fans out there. And just remember that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one or the few. And again, if everybody has filled out their census, great. You have till this Friday, I believe, to Thursday to finish.
Thank you.
As well as registering to vote in terms of all the other states across the nation. There's 2/3 of our states who have a registration deadline, but there are 13 states same day registration. So make sure you vote, plan your vote, register to vote early if you can, vote by mail, and long live and prosper.
Yes.
Cheers, everybody.
Kapla!
Cheers.
That's great. Thank you.
Oh, dance with the devil and I feel the heat. He asks for my soul while I move my feet. Ain't gonna give him his tasted treat. He can settle for the rhythm of this nasty beat. Dance with the devil and I feel the heat. He asks for my soul while I move my feet. Ain't gonna give him his tasted treat. He can settle for the rhythm of this nasty beat. Oh, 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 he can settle for the rhythm of this nasty. He can settle for the rhythm of this nasty beat. Oh, temp keeps rising and I'm feeling the heat. Soul's well done like a piece of meat. Devil comes over and it's time to eat. We both share a laugh while he has his feast. Temp keeps rising and I'm feeling the heat. My soul's well done like a piece of meat. Devil comes over and it's time to eat. We both share a laugh while he has his feast. Oh, 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 we can settle for a rhythm of this nasty. He can settle for the rhythm of this nasty beat.
Okay. Larry, it's the end of the party and you're still double fisting.
I'm keeping souvenir barware. That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Because
Got
I'm
it.
No, that was wow, Aliza, this has been an amazing party.
Yeah, this was so fun.
I'm
I'm gonna do a quick shout out. We're gonna do thank yous, but I also, before we
Yes.
do our thank yous, I want to just do a quick shout out to everyone who appeared today. So we have this is a long list.
no.
Dr. Abby Fraeman, Erin Macdonald, Mohamed Noor, Lissette Jean Marie, Amanda Troop, Rob Ullett, Armin Shimerman, Kitty Swink, Sam DeLev, Aki, Dan Curry, John Billingsley, Kennedy Allen, Jesse Gender, Aaron Harvey, Sirac Lofton, Lori Jones, Hector Navarro, Matt Pittner, Mary Chifo, Chase Masterson, Tamlin Tomita. Did I say Paul Hungerford? Oh, I was going to say him later because we have special thank yous. Those were all our guests.
Those were the guests.
I mean, what a list of incredible people. And I feel
Great
like
party, Aliza. Yes.
Right? We threw a great party. We should be proud of ourselves.
You should. You guys had this awesome idea to kick off going virtual and do this. And thank you so much for inviting me along to co-host. This is awesome. It takes me back to, control room days, but in a totally different way, which has been great to do. And yes, what's that in my ear? And all of this. And but
right.
And I think it's been wonderful. Like I said at the beginning, it's been wonderful that virtuality has been able to, Zooming has been able to step up and fill the void in our fandom world and in all our schools and business and churches and everything, any kind of greeting. And in fandom, we were really missing all our big events. And it's been a great stopgap. I don't want to live forever, but there'll also be things come out of this pandemic with Zooming and virtual panelings that I think are going to be around with us for a long time. But I know there'd been some fatigue, and I think this party idea, this format has been wonderful to kind of break up what people had gotten used to, with the virtual panels.
Yeah, I hope so. And
keep it moving.
Yeah, the virtual setting has been really helpful. I know for me personally, because in terms of accessibility, it's made things accessible to me that weren't before, because I just didn't have the energy to do everything I wanted to do. And now it's like, if I want to open the laptop and I have the energy to watch a thing on virtual, then I can do that. So I definitely think, yes, I think it's parts of us going virtual because of the pandemic will stick around after this, and it'll be a boost for accessibility.
It'll be another tool in the box, and and use and wielded, and people will elaborate. We've come so far in the last 6 months. Right, just the sophistication.
I just realized we're doing the very Star Trek nerdy thing of having a very deep conversation at the end of a party.
It's the 2 a.m. con room,
Right.
Or at the bar, at the end of the bar, yeah.
But to wrap things up, we did want to give some extra special thank yous to the people who made this event happen. So first of all, thank you to Leanna Dindal, who made this beautiful blue frame around us. With our logo, the Improvised Generation, at the bottom. Thank you, Leanna. It's so great. It's just that a little extra touch that made, helps make this event feel like we put a lot of effort.
Unique. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a little,
Thank you for that visual work, Leanna. We also want to thank Arlo Sanders and Alex Kahn, our good friends, who are not only amazing improvisers and technical improvisers in terms of running the tech for improv, they're also fantastic musicians. And so the music that you may have heard at the beginning of our show, maybe even during the transitions, that was their original music. They have a show on Outpost 13 that I believe is, oh goodness, Arlo, in my ear, can you tell me what day your show is on? Made Up Music season finale this Wednesday at what time?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Good
Pacific.
timing.
Yeah, 7 o'clock Pacific
Yes.
this Wednesday here, twitch.tv/outpost13. So check out their season finale of Made Up Music. Thank you guys for lending your music for this event.
Awesome.
I also want to give a big thank you to my co-producer, Paul Hungerford, who is also a co-producer and co-director of the Improvised Generation. Thank you for your behind the scenes support and help. The hugest thank yous are to Sarah Mountjoy Pepka, who stage managed this whole production. She also popped in for that TIG panel, the second one, because she's Chief Lieutenant Janie Boots, Chief of Engineering. Sarah, you made this event happen. Thank you, my sweet. You're amazing. I already knew you were amazing, but you're amazing. So she not only co-produces and co-directs the Improvised Generation, but she also just womaned up this whole event.
I'm so glad I met you on the floor at San Diego Comic-Con, Aliza. But I met Sarah near the trash cans out back.
I heard this story.
So anyway, it was so great to meet both you guys and get involved and support. And I love supporting this.
Separately too. It's amazing that we met separately too, and now we're all working together on these events and these things. And then the final thank you, last but definitely not least, is Arlo Sanders, who is has been the man in our ear this whole night. Amazing improviser, amazing.
Keeping this running smooth, overcoming any crises that come up here. Yes.
Just like amazing human. Arlo, we love you. And you all should go Google Arlo Sanders so you see what his face looks like. Because we couldn't figure out how to get him on camera for this because he's literally running the show. So thank you so much, Arlo, for everything you do for us.
Yes,
and
man.
You're amazing. And come check out Arlo and the rest of us, the Improvised Generation on screen, premiering October 10th, Saturday, 2 p.m. Pacific. Come back. While you're here, might as well go ahead and subscribe to Outpost 13 so that not only can you watch the show live for free without subscribing, but you can go back and rewatch episodes. If you miss an episode, you can watch it afterwards in the VOD, video on demand. So go ahead and subscribe. It's only $5 a month. And you get this show, you get all the other shows that are on Outpost 13. How about that?
That's awesome.
Pretty good deal.
That's a great deal. That's a great deal. Again, thank you for having me here. I've got all my stuff, our cards. You can find all our contacts. But I just want to say, I'm there 3 times a week. That's insane. On Tuesdays live, 1 o'clock on Facebook and YouTube on my channels. I share Saturday morning, a wonderful show. I still love this show. It's a COVID baby that was born out of a canceled convention. Life Support Live is we call it Going Boldly Through Uncertain Times, and it's the marriage of Star Trek and mental health. Not hardcore. We geek out with Trek and then give you some takeaways. The great Dr. Ali Matu, Dr. Ali and Dr. Trek, and one of us is a real doctor. That's Saturdays at 10 a.m. live. We have the chat in for that, and all things Portal 47 and our open house, our big annual to-do where we have a great guest. We're about to announce the guest. You can go to LarryNemechek.com and click in and get a seat saved for that. It'll be free, our open house is, but from my portales to our podcasts and everything in Trekland, I love doing this kind of thing. It's all these kinds of treks for the people. And when I met you guys, Improvised Generation was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I can't wait to see what it looks like coming out of my Zoom boxes, my Twitch boxes, I should say.
Cheers, Larry, to my fabulous co-host.
Aw.
Wait,
we did it.
Well, we can't clink. We can't clink really, but
can we
can cheers each other.
This is it is this way, yeah.
It's this way, yeah?
Yeah.
All right,
okay.
folks. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care, be well, drink some water, and freaking vote.
Yes. Trek well, everybody.
Empty your heart, strengthen your bones. Fear comes dressed in white when you're alone. Give up your sainthood, it's better for everyone. just a boy, sand like silk, hand on my saber, blue like milk. In the pits, no sarlacc, stuck in space, Death Star's back. Cold-blooded Kylo, trying to be a man, posing in a mask, he'll never be our hand. Oh, whither ye hand, your son's trust is false, pull out your gun.